So welcome to our regular meeting of council in person and live streamed electronically for Tuesday, August 4th. So our announcements are for those interested in running for a seat on Township Council, nominations are open until August 21st at 2 p.m. The Township office will be closed on August 7th for a staff and council appreciation lunch and golf day. Join us on September 26th for a bus trip to see the Ottawa Red Blacks versus Calgary Stampeders at TD Place. The cost is $20 for SALC members and $30 for non-members, and includes an all-you-can-eat buffet as well as many fun activities for the whole family. Contact the township to register. Our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that the sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We'll have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. That the regular meeting of council agenda dated August 4th, 2026 be approved as amended to move the following items from information to action under section 8 correspondence. C, Lanark County Council media release dated June 24th. F, Lanark County media release, Lanark County 2026 asset builders. G, Lanark County media release, business retention and expansion initiative. H, Lanark County media release, silver chain challenge. I, Lanark County media release, Warden's Golf Tournament. J, Lanark County media release, Natural Heritage System Strategy. R, Rideau Valley Conservation Authority email project executive announcement. All in favor? That's carried. Disclosure of interest now at any point in time in our meeting. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that the minutes from the regular meeting of council dated June 16th, 2026, and the public meeting of July 20th, 2026 be approved as presented this date. All in favor, and that's carried. Any business arising from our previous meetings? So our delegations, and our first one is Elliot from Jewel Engineering regarding our Matheson and Rosedale subdivision stormwater management and drainage.
Hello, everyone. This is the first council meeting for me here. So would you like me to just give an overview of the drainage concerns based on the email that we received?
Yeah, Elliot, if you can just kind of go over the mapping and where the drainage is going, the route, kind of that very initial plan, just for council to fully understand the scope of what was being presented in that initial.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll do a screen share here so you can see the figures that the consultant provided. So there's two figures here, and these figures best summarize the drainage pattern in its existing condition and in its proposed condition. So we received, I think it was 3 submissions total. I'll summarize where we ended up, because the first one, we weren't satisfied with the drainage outlet setup. So we had some revisions, and we met with the project consultant. And after a couple of revisions, we were satisfied that the plan that they put forward would not present a negative impact, and it is feasible to make the drainage solution work here. So on this figure, this is a catchment/drainage figure. So the blue lines that you see represent catchment boundaries. And when I zoom in, you can see that white kind of jagged line, those represent elevation contours. And the arrows that they use are just to give a general indication of the drainage. So this is an existing conditions map. And if we zoom in on the top right, you can see a north arrow. So more to your left is actually to the north. So just, yeah, keep in mind we are, top of the page isn't north. So we have Matheson Drive here. and we have Rosedale Road South, which must be County Road 23, on the bottom. So in the existing conditions, what the consultant identified based on their field visits and their analysis is they identified 3 different drainage outlets. So they call them OF number 1. We zoom down here, and that one gets some of the site drainage along with all these properties that front along Matheson. And then there's a 450 millimeter culvert that they identified, which travels through private property and then drains into Rosedale Creek. The second outlet over here is a smaller one. It gets significantly less drainage area. And similarly, it goes through private property and drains into Rosedale Creek. The third outlet they identified is on Matheson Drive, and they did do field visits and they could not find a culvert. So to the best of their knowledge, there is no culvert there, which is very unusual because there's, probably in the round of 20 hectares or so going to this location. But they did search and they confirmed there's no culvert identified there, which creates a constraint for their property. So then in the proposed condition, where we ended up, and I'll identify what the issue was in order to get here. We'll just start with the simple one. The simple one is outlet number 2, which is in the bottom right of this picture here. So in that one, a lot of the drainage goes to the central storm facility, which you can see with this kind of berm curve outline where it says SWM. So because a lot of that drainage in the proposed condition goes to the stormwater facility, what happens is they direct as much drainage there as they can so that they can slow it down and release it at a low rate, and also to get some quality treatment. So they want to have as little going to outlet 2 as possible, because just based on grading constraints, it can't really be controlled. So because the drainage area is being minimized to outlet 2, the peak flow rate will not increase and the runoff volume will not increase. So outlet 2 is a simple one, is not really it's not a concern. The concern with outlet 1 or OF1, and I presume this is where some of the drainage issues are arising, is there's a really shallow ditch along here. That's what the consultant noted based on their visit. Relatively small culvert, and then this drainage easement doesn't appear, it's not even a drainage easement. This drainage course on private property doesn't seem to have much conveyance. So that is not good for capacity reasons. But you also see this EXT3, and you can see this dashed blue line. So that's quite a large catchment that goes all the way around here. So this catchment is existing and contributes to the proposed drainage layout, and it all goes to outlet 1. So you get a larger drainage area going to a constrained capacity. I don't know if I'd call it ditch infrastructure, but we'll call it undersized infrastructure currently. So what the consultant initially proposed was to redirect a lot of drainage going down here and to oversize the stormwater management pond to lower the peak flows to match pre-development. And typically that's okay, but we were not willing to accept that at this location because there is no drainage easement. Basically, it's private property between Rosedale Road South, County Road 23, until it reaches Rosedale Creek, which if I zoom in here, it's located a bit further to the down of the page, where I guess that's west. So we were concerned about this location here, and also the existing potential concern at this ditch, not because we didn't believe that they couldn't meet the peak flow targets, but because they would be increasing the runoff volume. And the reason they would have been doing that is because outflow 3, which currently has no culvert, they couldn't release anything there. So they were redirecting it down to outlet 1. And again, they were going to oversize this facility to keep the peak flow rate down, which is good to meet the target. But again, the overall volume would increase, and based on the drainage laws, we would not be able to support that. So the solution, after a couple iterations, is the consultant proposed to make roadside ditch improvements along Matheson Drive, where you can see these arrows that are going straight down. And then it continues to a cross culvert of Rosedale Road South. And then it continues to go westward or to the bottom of the page until it hits Rosedale Creek. The benefit of this solution is that it redirects a lot of the drainage and it keeps it within the municipal road allowance. And ditching along the road allowance is a lot more efficient than piping or changing culverts or dealing with easements. So what they did is currently, this is actually, I'll just go to the existing conditions page. At the intersection of Matheson Drive and Rosedale Road, there is an existing 450 millimeter culvert here and another one right here. So what they've proposed is to upsize this 450 culvert and tilt it. So when they do the replacement, they would tilt it so that the bottom of the culvert is graded, or the elevations drain towards the bottom of the page, so that it goes towards Rosedale Creek. What that will do is it will take a lot of this runoff that would have went to the trouble area near outlet 1, and it keeps it within the municipal road allowance, and it keeps it within the upsized the ditch that they will increase the capacity, and they have the ability to grade it so that it has enough capacity to stay away from the trouble area and keep it constrained until it gets to Rosedale Creek, or that it can drain on in its natural path. The other advantage with this approach is that directing the water from outlet 3 and keeping it within the municipal road allowance to Rosedale Creek is that right now outlet 3 is a dead zone. So water would flow towards outlet 3, and without a culvert, it's just going to sit there and it's going to pond, or it will just be saturated until it eventually infiltrates into the ground. So this solution would mitigate the concerns at outlet 1. It would also mitigate the concerns at outlet 3. And what they've proposed in the proposed condition, in order to control all this runoff, not all of it, but the runoff from their subdivision, the runoff that they are responsible for, is this quantity and quality control facility. So right where it says SWM. So it's worth noting that the imperviousness on the site is quite low. They estimate it at 14%, and that's because it's a rural subdivision. If it was more dense, you get an imperviousness of like 40, 50, 60%. So what's good about a low impervious subdivision is that the risk is lower, the quality impacts are lower, and the quantity control is easier to implement. So what they've done is they've sized the facility, and they tested a whole variety of storms, and they took the most severe condition, which is the 100-year storm, that they're obligated to control. And they've attenuated it with their pond down to the pre-development target. And they're getting an easement from the pond outlet to Matheson Road. And that will allow them to take their controlled water from the site and give it an access route to Matheson Drive. And then they've done their design is preliminary, but as far as preliminary designs go, it was pretty detailed. So they did quite a bit of work to actually size this with culverts and roadside ditch improvements to make sure that they could that it was feasible to connect the pond to the road, and then from the road all the way down until it hits Rosedale Creek. So it was a bit of a process, but after a couple iterations, we're satisfied with the approach that they've put forward. It is feasible, and there's opportunities in detailed design for them to finesse things such as grading. Again, they have preliminary grade set to demonstrate feasibility, but they still have some work to do in the detailed drawing just to confirm and make tweaks and get the detailed drawing sets for their next submission. So that's my summary. I guess if there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
So thank you, Elliot. Jeff and I saw the drawings up at the county, and that's where it was first that we tweaked, that it was like, oh, we missed this when it was first verbally expressed to us. And that's where visually I see things a lot better, and therefore Jeff and I felt it was best that it come back for all of council to see this as well. So I will open it up if there's any questions for council. I think-
You raise your hands. I know I sent forth a whole bunch of questions, but my questions I think are gonna be better answered in the future based on this being very preliminary. But it does seem like it's a lot of water to divert, being that it is down from a slope. Do they have an idea of what type of grade depth they have to go for to make this actually feasible? Because based on the grade of that area, I would say it would have to be rather deep.
Sure. Which are you referring to the connection from the pond to the road?
I'm talking about, so going down Matheson to go from one end to the other with the amount of water that's going to be coming off that property, or has the potential of coming off that property, I believe there's gonna have to be quite a great difference to be able to divert and make sure it's not affecting roads and or anything else. Do they have a number?
They probably would. We just have to go through their road profiles. Like, we wouldn't typically expect a road profile grade at this point. They might have included some. They actually, I'm not sure how much time you have for me to pull it up, but there is a sheet in their report that outlines the different sections, and from that, I believe we can see the slopes. Would you?
Just because like Montague's a lot of rock, so digging depths may not be quite as easy. So I just want to make sure that if this is projected, that they know what they're getting themselves into, and that we are, my biggest concern is making sure that Montague residents are covered, that if this doesn't work, we're not on the hook. Because it's all great to have engineer drawings. Ottawa's had a bunch of them, and then they do it and they take the building back down because the projections didn't work. Amazon being one of them, it's sinking. So I'm just wanting to make sure that we've had a lot of really good eyes on it. It's great in theory, and on the drawing looks great. I just want to make sure the numbers work.
Yeah, it's a good question, because they typically, for a subdivision, they have Hydro G go out and they test the soils, and they would identify bedrock on the subdivision site. So you would think that if they were concerned about it, they would expand their scope along that drainage ditch. So yeah, it's a worthwhile question to look at.
Again, the preliminary, I have no problem passing it through. I just want to make sure that these are all finite details that have been well thought of, well done before they do it.
So if we see here regarding the slope itself, so that would be an indication by these where it says swale. So right here we see 3.95%, and then 0.5%, 2.8%, 0.7%, 0.6%, 1%. So none of these are unusual. 4%, sure, it's a little steep, but it's not crazy. And then the flow depths in the swales are not unreasonable. 0.6, 0.5. So these are kind of standard dimensions. So there wouldn't be anything in there that would flag that something's not constructible. So that looks good. It would be worthwhile to consider, I mean, because they would have graded the profile here to get it down there. So when they do have the detailed drawing, and they have the profile, so this would probably be in a detailed drawing set, but you would want to see the existing ditch profile, which is just the bottom of the ditch, and then you'd want to see the proposed. So if the slope is only 2% in both of them, but one is way lower, then you could have a problem with bedrock or something like that. So we would expect to see that in the detailed drawing set, that there's a existing ditch profile and a proposed, just so we can see that difference.
Yeah, just because like, you talked about 100-year storms. We've had one, this year, we had one 2 years ago. And Ottawa suffered some significant damages because of it. We just want to make sure that whatever we're planning on building here is going to be wonderful and nothing but positive things. We don't want anyone to move into a problem or us to in turn have a problem. So we just want to make sure that, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and that everything is makes sense on paper, but also logistically makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it was great because we did have that conversation. It was interesting to look and see what the and I think one of those things too as well is this has been, I think it's been really well done as far as going back and forth too as well with getting the extra reiterations to it too as well to understand a little bit more. And I think that's where we got lost sometimes as council members. We're not engineers, we're not and and we want to make sure we're like exactly what kind of Crafty's saying, and we want to make sure we're making the right decisions. I know Karen and I kind of saw the way that that sort of the way that's being drained now and down to Rosedale Creek that way to not go through the private property. That was like, okay, we kind of misunderstood that through the process. So it was good for us to kind of come back. This was a great explanation too as well. And I think this is great, especially for the preliminary side too as well, is to understand where that's gonna go and hopefully that's like a really good case. It is interesting you bring up about the outlet 3 though, where you're saying that you thought it was odd that there wasn't a culvert there, because you want the water to go to the other side of the road and go down that side of the road, right? Because that's the side that it goes down to get down to Rosedale Creek better. Is that's really the idea? Like, would you think? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, you're referring to outlet 3, you said?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually what we would expect is when we see a significant drainage area that looks like about 20. I'll go to the existing conditions, because that's where drainage is actually going to outlet 3. So that looks like, yeah, like 20 hectares or so. So when you see that going to a low-lying area at a municipal road, you would usually expect a culvert to be there. So, and interesting that is when you go through the drainage laws, is if there's no actual water course, there's no obligation for the municipality to provide a crossing there. It would be a different story if there was like a natural stream with defined banks and continuous flow, something like that. Then there would be an obligation to convey that drainage through. But whenever this road was built, there was no obligation to do that. And maybe there is a culvert there. Maybe it was grown in so thick they couldn't find it, or maybe sometimes sediment builds up so much that somebody can't find it. But if it's that thick and they either can't identify it, then that's a good indication nothing's actually flowing through there. So one idea that I'm sure they had is, what about putting in a culvert here? And the issue with that is because like 20 hectares is significant, but it's not significant enough to generate a natural stream that would be an obvious feature. So because of that, it goes through private property, and without that natural water course feature, there's actually no right to put that onto this private property on the left side of this of this road. I guess it would be going north on Matheson. You would like to see that there because that would follow the natural drainage path, but just because the logistics of it, they can't just throw the water onto somebody's property when there's not a natural water course there. It would be overland flow, but it wouldn't be a natural water course, and you can't just put your overland flow onto somebody else. So it's kind of counterintuitive. You would think if it drains there naturally, you have the right to put it there. But that's just not the case. You need a natural water course to do that. So that's why they're kind of handcuffed and they can't just throw it north of Matheson. So they wanted to throw it, like they didn't want to just leave the low-lying area there with the runoff coming from their lot. So I think their intent was good in the initial submission to get it from outlet 3 down to outlet 1. But because of the volume increase, potential volume increase, and the existing drainage issues and the absence of an easement or a right of drainage here, we couldn't support it. So that's why, that's the nice thing about the going down Rosedale Road South, is it takes care of kind of both issues. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. That road was paved, it's not long ago, 2019. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was one of those things where it was, like, owners up there say that there was, it flowed a little bit, the water flowed a little bit better when it was a dirt road, and then it was, and it seems to hold back a little bit now. So I wonder if that was like one of those things where maybe it did flow a little bit better through the impervious of the dirt road and not necessarily when it was built up. But I mean, that's here nor there. So that is an interesting side of things. Anyways, I don't want to dabble on too much about this, because I think this is a great explanation, and I think council, I think we got a better understanding of this preliminary side, so we can go back to county and say, you know what, let's keep going ahead, and I think Councillor Crabtree brings up a lot of great points to us all to make sure that it's that we're on it. But I also see, like, the times it's gone back, we've had a couple different peer reviews. So I mean, I really commend obviously our staff too as well, and the county staff, making sure that they're hearing everything loud and clear, and they're on that. And I really appreciate your explanation too as well. And it's great to bring in good quality engineers that can really explain this stuff to us. And I mean, I really appreciate, I think we all appreciate that as we kind of go through this process. So yeah, thanks very much for this. This has been very helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So I just want to confirm, all of council understands the drainage mapping for this, and you understand that at outlet 1, there's not currently a drainage easement there, that the county may have to work with that landowner.
I guess that's the biggest.
I just want to point that out, but there is no actual easement there. And I know that Elliot did say it several times. I just wanted to make sure that you realize that at the county level, there may need to be some kind of a.
Because in some of the paperwork, it talks about how the developer, they're using a developer-owned easement in there. So that's not
That's
really,
a different one.
that's not stating it. So that's the biggest one.
That's not Rosedale Road South.
That's the one off. That's the one off Matheson. That was the other one.
Yes,
So
so OF1 on that mapping, just to be clear, there's no drainage easement there.
So that could be a big hang up in this process.
Potentially, but that's a county,
That's
just for our county.
as we're going through that process too as well.
Yeah.
Because it's I mean, that's in our economic development side of things. So when that comes back and everything else, and I mean, I know this is the great thing about our staff, is that they will make sure that we are well aware of these things that need to be done too as well. So that's fantastic. So.
Building property 987 and 999. That one there, do we have an easement, or have we gotten permission from the owners to put the drainage through the property?
So the report identifies, like, I'll just back up a second. Easements are a challenge for developers, and that's why this one was flagged. I can't see the person on the screen that was talking before, but when the person that's noting that OF1 or outlet 1 that doesn't have a drainage easement, that's why we were so concerned with that initially, is because it does not have a drainage easement. This property here is not owned by the developer, and they don't believe that they would be able to get an easement here. Whereas over here from the pond outlet to Matheson Road, this property is noted in the report to be owned by the developer. So that's how they know that they'll be able to achieve an easement.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember the exact size, but I think it's an appropriate size. It's maybe 8 meters or so to have this easement to connect them.
That's a 9-meter easement that is currently owned by the developer.
So that is okay, that's what I was getting at, that's, I think you and I were talking about two different things, because that was the whole thing, is like, that they do own that easement.
That one.
Okay, that's because in the
was
report it says they own that easement. I was like,
I
okay.
just wasn't sure which one is what, so I was.
Yeah, the one between 987 is,
Yeah.
987, there's a,
They've given themselves an easement to allow them to do the drainage. prior
Yeah,
to-
we just wanna be clear that OF1, there's not currently one, and if, whenever they do their detailed design, if there's even remotely an issue there, that's gonna be flagged.
yeah, if they try to change course and try to make it go that way, or it says.
Or if it's gonna cause further issues, cause there's already some water line issues there, so I just wanted you guys to be aware of that, but that's a county.
Yeah,
road, So,
but the biggest one is we had that easement of the
developer.
987, yeah, the developer has that, so that's not an issue, is it?
I think it would be helpful if I just mention here that they have, if you can see my screen, right here where it says PR 1000 millimeter culvert. So that's the proposed culvert that they will be tilting or grading the elevations to go from the top of the page to the bottom down to Rosedale Creek. So this 1000 millimeter culvert, 1 meter, it will be bigger than the existing 450 that crosses Matheson right now. So of the water that they release from the pond and then it goes down in the road allowance, this has been set up to be bigger so that more of the water goes down to Rosedale Creek and less goes to outlet 1. So they could make this culvert smaller. They could make this culvert bigger. There's flexibility in their preliminary design to alter it to make sure they're getting as much as they need going down to Rosedale South. So as the other person mentioned, they have you will have to keep an eye on outlet 1 in detailed design. I'm just noting that they've set it up that they can make it work if they're consistent in their detailed design with what they've proposed in preliminary.
Very helpful.
Well, thank you, Elliot.
Thank you.
Thank Elliot.
Thank you.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas that the presentation by Elliot Valderas, P engineer for Dual Engineering Inc. regarding the stormwater management and drainage for Matheson and Rosedale subdivision be received as information. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Our next delegation is Andrew Vaux,
Yes.
please.
I stand for her.
You can
Yeah.
do the voting right.
This is regarding, our property on 7526. Roger Stevens Road. I'd like to apologize in advance before we get into it, but, on your sides, we've owned the property for 26 years now, and property that I grew up at. I was pumping gas there at the age of 6 and 7, and so it's my sister here. And it was a family business. So over the years, we've kind of like departed from Smith Falls and the Ottawa area. Me specifically, I've lived in BC and Alberta. And then, so recently in the last few years, I've returned, and it's been an issue that you guys have continued to contact us regarding. We've sold the property now, made that decision. It wasn't an easy decision. We didn't know what we were gonna do with it, but it is now sold and closing in November. So I'm here today to ask you guys for a little bit of grace in terms of what I can do in terms of the meantime to get us to November. And just to appease you guys in the interim.
So it's been up for sale for a long time.
Yep.
But you were just able to make a sale just recently, I guess is the,
Quite recently, I submitted the documents to Kirsten,
okay,
but yes, it's sold, no conditions, they're taking it as is. It's supposed to close in November, we're currently They're looking at financing. For the financing option where this happened probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago now.
So there is a condition.
Yeah.
You just, sorry, maybe I misunderstood you, I just want to double check.
Okay.
You said it closed no conditions.
Yeah.
But then you just said they're waiting on financing,
Yeah, they're just waiting on financing,
so there is a condition,
I guess so, yeah.
yeah, so there's condition and pending financing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
I'm making sure I'm understanding correctly, because you just contradict yourself a little bit, I just wanna make sure we're understanding correctly.
I have the contract here if you'd like to see it. I did send it, but. Yeah, your office has a copy. of it,
Yeah, it's not- yeah, it's good.
I'm not big in real estate law.
No, just if you guys have any other questions, we have a report later on for them to make the actual decision, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's just that they kind of wanted to hear from you, and then if you guys have any questions in relation to that, he did provide the purchase and sale agreement, but we don't make that obviously a public document, so that was not
Yeah.
provided to you. But yes, can confirm he did provide that to us. So just if council has no further questions, it'll be the report coming up.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. So moved by Deputy Carroll and second by Councillor Crabtree that the delegation of Andrew Rowe regarding the order to comply for 7526, 7528 Roger Stevens Drive be received as information. All in favor? Carried. Do we have our auditors? Or is-
7 o'clock.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll move on to our first report of municipal officers. So Ed regarding Guthrie Road drainage option.
Thank you, Chair. So as council's aware, staff were directed to explore options for drainage in at Guthrie Road. So met on site with our drainage superintendent Lucas on June 8th, and we traveled the whole road on both sides and kind of looked at some of the local issues. And it's kind of unique, the drainage issues along Guthrie. Not just elevation, but with development, with existing ditching, with like even springs under one section of the road is a spring. So there's kind of a lot going on. So Lucas was directed to go back and provide some options to council to consider as far as next steps. If I can just bring this report up. So Lucas provided 4 options. We look at the report itself. Option 1 is really kind of the direction the township has taken here historically. So in speaking with some public works staff that have been here for a few years that know these issues, that knows this road in particular, this is kind of what they've done is they've targeted certain areas. Maybe a resident brings it forward to the attention of the township, say, hey, I've got water here that's doing this, it's not running away, whatever. So Public Works has targeted those certain areas. So as much as it alleviates that one issue, quite often what you're doing is just sending the issue downstream. So option 1 is indeed that, to carry on sort of in that method with targeted ditching in these identified areas of concern. Obviously, the biggest risk, it's a relatively inexpensive option. It can be done in-house, as we've proven in the past. We have the equipment and manpower to do this. But it doesn't really give you a quote unquote plan. You're just trying to move the water along. Alternative 2 would be a more comprehensive ditching review. This alternative, you're gonna spend a bit more money, but now you're kind of looking at the ditching in particular. Okay, how can we actually have a design and a plan of what to do with this water? And including outlets, proper outlets, etc., culverts. But this alternative here doesn't necessarily take into account any potential road upgrades you may want to do in the future. This is something we spoke about in the past, in the spring. We did a report on doing gravel road upgrades and so on. And Guthrie was identified as potentially a good candidate for that. So going with this one is going to look strictly drainage, but doesn't incorporate that road upgrade piece. Looking at alternative 3, it takes that integrated ditching design that we spoke of earlier, and you're looking at like a slurry seal or maybe a tar and chip upgrade on the road. So you're going to use your existing base material, might just do like a 2-inch excavation, you know, some new granular there and your top coat. And then carry on with the integrated ditching design. Alternative 4, which ultimately was recommended by the consultant, is a plan for full road reconstruction and integrated ditching design. So this is basically a full engineer report on that roadway, on the right of way as a whole. Your drainage routes, your drainage options, and design. Very similar to what we do. Like currently, we're you know doing rehabilitation of McLaughlin Road, right? So we get a full engineering package for that road before we get started. With this alternative here, we're gonna look at ditching, plus we're gonna look at the potential upgrade. Doesn't mean we're handcuffed to do all of it right away. You know, you could proceed with the ditching and the drainage improvements, and you could still have the engineering, you know, on the shelf for when that's ready, budget wise, to proceed with the road upgrade, if that's what council chose. The big thing, of course, with the water, with the drainage, like Councillor Crouchy's mentioned, is with all these storm events lately, and the water is a liability. It's a huge liability. We start changing flows within the waterway, potentially outletting on private property, etc., without proper engineering and proper plan. That's the risk you run without doing this in the appropriate way. So to the end of the report, you can see the summary and recommendation from the consultant, which of course is what staff would also recommend. Any questions on that?
So I love the report. It does kind of go back to what we were talking about. We, you know, there's certain things we'd love to do, but I know as council, we're kind of handcuffed. This doesn't let us know, because we had a certain amount budgeted for this road this year and projected, and we have no idea what this number looks like. So I think without having some even relatively rough numbers, it makes it very hard for this council to say, you know, we'd love to do a comprehensive drainage ditching, say, okay, we want to make sure it's done right, because we would let, this was actually one of the roads we wanted to turn back into asphalt. But now we don't know what the number is gonna look like.
So for next steps, sorry if I could just jump in. For next steps would be more direction here on what council would like done drainage wise with this road. So if council would choose that, hey, yes, we agree, maybe a full road reconstruction, like the option 4 sounds better, then we can investigate actual pricing. You know, if you want maybe 3 and 4 is what you're looking at, then I can get some actual quotes.
Pricing
Exactly.
But I would hate to say 3 and 4, but they still come 3 times over budget. And again, I don't know, it might come under budget, no clue, no idea, without having some sort of vague idea. Like, is there a way that we could say, can you bring us back a great idea of pricing, what it would look like, so that we could then actually use those numbers to say, okay, this was original budget, this is potentially where it's gonna be sitting at, what does it look like? And you know, Ali, is there money in the reserves? Is there money that we can move around? And because we don't have the fulsome details of all of the finances. We have a very good idea, but Ali's, being our treasurer, knows a better idea of where we can pull from, where we can't pull from, and what we can financially, fiscally do is responsible. My opinion.
I think we have to, from what is there, number 4 is probably the one that we would want to be looking for. So that would be the one we'd like to see I would like to see the expense of that one, like if we get an idea.
For sure.
Because there's no sense of doing 1 or 2. And then 4 years down the road, we got a problem with what we've done, so.
Right.
I agree with you, and 100% I agree with you. I'm just saying, we can't say we wanna go for 4 and you come back and say it's a $1.2 million. And we're like, cool, so 2 it is. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the cost obviously is the biggest thing. I mean, you use Lachlan as an example for total rehabilitation. we know what that costs. I mean, it was, you know, and if this could be even more if we're dealing with ditching and there's, it's tricky because there's a lot that, like everywhere in Montague, there's a lot of rock there. It feels like can you even dig down to some of those ditches to get even more to it. Like it'd be, and then the other one, which comes up in the report too as well, is talking about the landowners and the landowners have those issues that are there too as well. So like it's if we're trying to fix it, is it even solving that bigger problem? And that we don't know until we go down that route. When you go down Guthrie, you kind of go sort of down that little hill, and there's that drainage that goes out, that goes towards Wood Road there. Is that a municipal drain, or is that just on a private, like if they see a private properties?
It's not a registered municipal drain, but it is a water course.
There's a water course, yeah, you
Yes.
can see it go through, and it goes through a kind of like a wood, eventually probably goes through a farmer fields and goes off into, across the highway and then down into the river, but I mean, but so like that's one of those things where we don't have any ability of, and if we open that up even more, does that open up more problems where then it floods a farmer's field down the way, and we wouldn't.
The issue is it's not ours to open.
And that's the other thing, even if we convince, or we had that discussion with the private landowner saying, hey, this might, we open that up more, does that get like you always say, like it could create another problem down if it doesn't go, because that stream doesn't just kind of continue on and go down into the river, it kind of dissipates, it looks like,
Mhm.
in my no education of water courses, but like when you look at it through it dissipates, so then what happens if you open it up? Then as it floods something down and we just move that water from here to flooding somebody else down and then I mean, that's the biggest issue around there too as well, is that drainage and getting that water hopefully somewhere else. That's why I'm kind of curious about, like, once again, going back, is it still do we need to go to the paving of that road and all that kind of idea, or is it really the number one issue that we have to deal with this is the drainage? Now, if we do number 4, like I think that you're suggesting, we don't know what it's gonna cost to do that. First of all, like what we had to tender that out to say, what is that gonna, and like, do we have a preliminary budget of what we would budget for that as we send it out?
So like what we'd be tendering to be, or not even tendering, but what we'd be pricing would be the design piece.
That's what I'm
not the
asking.
whole project,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like, so like, what would we be budgeting, if we chose number 4, what would we be budgeting to do that process? Is that a $10,000 engineering, like that we would budget for, or is it a $50,000 engineering side of things?
I'll be guessing, but it'd certainly be more than $10,000, yeah.
So like, I'd kind of like to know a little bit of what the engineering, just the design phase or design piece would look like out of the gates of what that's gonna cost us to do.
Mhm.
The drainage is, I think, the biggest thing, like.
It should just be noted though, if we just jump in, that there's two separate issues here. There's private land drainage issues on Guthrie, which is a big one. And then there's the township managing the drainage issues for the roadway itself. Right? So by us correcting and improving road drainage and right of way issues is not necessarily gonna correct the drainage issues on private property.
Yes.
Right? Some of these homes have been constructed on lots that are lower than our ditches. So regardless of what we do in the right of way, that property is always gonna have water in its front yard.
Yeah.
We have neighbors that have, pumps coming out of their basements and it's going in the municipal ditch, that makes the condition worse. It sends water neighbor to neighbor. There's all kinds of stuff going on down there. Which is outside of what we're talking about in our project here. So, two separate issues. Our improvements may indeed improve some private stuff, but that's certainly not.
That's not the
think it's
intent
intention.
overall,
No,
yeah.
it's not, no,
Yeah, it's just more moving that water that's in those areas.
and not adding to private land, private property.
So I think, so I'll go back, but I guess the biggest thing is like, I'm curious about just the initial costing of what we would budget. Cause before we ever go out to tender something, we say, well, we're gonna, what would the budget be for that type of detailed design, detailed discussion? I'd like to know a little bit about maybe that before I wanna go ahead.
I do remember, and I know it's do you remember what we originally had budgeted for the Guthrie?
Oh, 45,000 for gravel.
Yeah, she's a numbers place. So like my concern is the 45,000 is not gonna do a whole hell of a lot.
Well,
And
as
then-
far as the engineering design, yes, it will, absolutely.
Yeah, with the
But as far
engineering.
as getting work done, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
so we, and I'm just saying, so I think what. Go back to what Debbie Carroll said, I think the paving of it's definitely getting pushed. We may be looking at whatever that budget was going to entail. And this would be something to set up maybe for next year. Cause I don't know that we're gonna be able to do too much. Maybe a little damage control ditching, but I don't think we'll be able to do too much this year, and there'll probably. The next council is gonna have to decide this, but I think we may be able to develop a plan. But I think it's gonna be a postpone for a bit. And the budget that was initially going to be to pave that road would be to redo all the ditching and getting it future ready later on.
I just wanna say, we didn't budget to pave that road.
No, but I know we were planning on looking to get it prepared for that possibly in the future.
Okay.
And or whatever that was gonna be, I'm just saying that would definitely.
So Council through, so I guess. Is what we're hearing is that you want us to put this off to the next council? Just because my recommendation to you is going to be that we go ahead and move the, additional funds that are in the gravel contract into a reserve for Guthrie for 2027. If that's what you guys are requesting.
To do that, to make sure that we're not, because we held back on.
So you're asking
Yeah.
for basically Public Works to include in the 2027 budget for next council's consideration, engineer drawings of option 4.
Yeah.
To fix the drainage to allow for option 4. Is
Yeah,
that what we're-
yeah,
That's.
well, I'm just curious what the costing of that, what that is gonna look like.
So do you want that to come back before budget or,
Realistic,
cause this council will not see the 2027 budget and the municipal act has to go to the next council.
Yeah.
So you won't see it that we normally get in September, October, you won't get that.
Yeah.
So do you want a report to come back with estimated costs and then make the decision if it's gonna go into the 2027 budget and make the decision on what we're gonna do with that gravel money that's left?
realistically, is there anything we're gonna be able to do this year?
No, my whole thing is that I don't wanna get it to get lost in a surplus and get put somewhere else. Like,
Yes.
it's supposed to be for Guthrie Road, it needs to go into a reserve for.
I
Guthrie
believe
Road.
that needs to happen whether, no matter what happens, but I just think that, I wanna make sure something can happen now, Guthrie,
So this year we can still complete the brushing we spoke
Okay.
about, right? We can do a basic vegetation removal in the existing ditches, right? So we're not gonna alter any flows or do anything like that, but there's, yeah, we can certainly carry on with that stuff,
Okay.
which is planned, yes.
and then leave the surplus for next council to be able to use to try to mitigate and or resolve some of these problems.
But you're also looking for a costing to come back to us.
Yeah, like I think.
That'll be in budget.
Yeah, the original.
It wouldn't be to us,
like
it'd be to whoever's council.
Well, that's what I'm saying, do you guys want the estimated costing coming back to you? Or do you want it to be included in 2027 budget deliberations? Because by the time, let's be real, by the time we get this is not gonna be done now this year. So I'm just asking, does this council want to see an estimated cost? Or do you want us to, are you directing staff to include it for the next council to discuss in the 2027 budget?
I would say personally, next council.
Yeah, I think.
To give them-
I
to
don't
give it-
have an issue with that,
And give them time to, there's no reason to rush to try to get it all right now, especially since we won't necessarily have a final decision anyways.
Yeah,
And we're still doing what is needed on Guthrie, right?
yeah.
Still makes sense.
Because we're hoping this is
We're
like a
starting.
little, a little bit like low hanging fruit, and it's like, it's, you know, the tree grew
Yeah.
So like, I mean, like it's, and that's one of those things, when you get into these projects or you get into these things a little bit more, it definitely is. So I think it's so like basically we're gonna take that, make sure that we put that into the reserves to make sure that regardless for next year for Guthrie, because we don't wanna like take away any of the gravel it might need, and all that kind of idea it needs. And then go into budget deliberations about what it's gonna, basically, the first part is just what are we budgeting for the detailed designs and details of that? Right? That's kind of where we're going, because anything else, we're just gonna be guessing. Like I said, so we just need the detailing of what it's gonna cost for that budget for that, and then go from that to the next thing.
Your resolution's gonna change.
I was gonna say, so the 2024-2027 budget then?
So the council directs staff, to include engineered, drawing costs in the 2027 budget. And related. And that, council directs staff to place the balance of the gravel maintenance budget line into reserves to fund the Guthrie project in 2027. Engineering. In 2027.
Yeah, right.
Drainage, say Guthrie drainage
Can't have answers for that.
plans in 2027.
And to it.
That's what I'm saying. And the council directs staff to release the balance. Yeah, as long as you guys are okay with it.
So this is the resolution now.
Yeah.
Council directs staff to include engineer drawing costs of the 2027 budget, and the council directs staff to place the balance of the gravel maintenance budget line into reserves to fund the Guthrie Road drainage plans in 2027. Okay, so so moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Lucas. All in favor? Carried. Good. Now we're 6:57 for our. Not very good.
So we'll do this one. Take
Take the next one.
What was it?
Yeah.
This should be,
Next one, so
yes, this one's easy.
moved by Councillor Johnson and, nope, moved by Councillor. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, second by Councillor Abbas, that council pass the necessary bylaw to permit zoning bylaw amendment ZB 26-007, Don La Madeleine Electric Limited, brackets Lewis, to rezone the lot addition lands under consent application B 25-115, being legally described as part of lot 18, concession B, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, from tourist commercial special exception 1 CT1 to limited services residential RLS. All in favor? And that's carried.
Another short one.
Yeah, this is where it's, yeah.
The next one is moved by Deputy Reed Carroll and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that the council provide direction to staff regarding the provision of responses to the attached list of questions submitted by Councillor Crabtree. It's just information.
Just for information right now, I think that's okay.
Is it?
You're okay, you're for it.
Okay, so council is just accepting the questions as information then? Okay, so if we can just change that to.
I think like we got a good amount of information and we know that we're gonna go forward with something else. and they're comfortable with that too.
Yeah, and then, like he says, they're gonna bring more information back.
Yeah.
As they go along, that we'll be able to try to iron out some of those answers, cause
Yeah.
some of them he kinda has, some of them he's not sure we'll get, so.
Then we gotta go to the next stage. just to go to-
And that's it, so he's not gonna have a concrete answer for us today, so if we're not gonna pass it on, we kibosh it, which we don't wanna do.
No, yeah.
It's just to kind of ask the questions to kind of put them out there, I guess. So we can have something to look forward or look to when we get there.
Asking questions.
Yeah, we're very preliminary, so most
Yeah,
of these things, if not answered, will be addressed.
So moved by Deputy Reed Carroll and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council receives the Matheson and Rosedale subdivision questions as information. All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Auditor is now here.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, Anoop, how are ya?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. How's things on your end?
We're good here. So we're gonna let you go ahead and start your presentation if you want to screen share with us.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I joined right on time from the looks of it.
Yeah, get in.
Excellent. I was a bit worried if I'm either joining a bit too early or a bit late, possibly, but great to hear that I'm right on time. So I'm just gonna share my screen quickly. Just give me a minute. I don't do a lot of calls over Zoom. It's typically Microsoft Teams. So just give me a minute. Oops. I think I hit the wrong button there. Okay. Do let me know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Perfect. So before I get started, I'll probably just quickly introduce myself. I'm definitely a new face here today. So my name is Anoop Michael. I'm a senior manager here with the KPMG Kingston practice. And thank you very much for having me here today to be presenting the audit findings report. So before I quickly start with my presentation, just a quick round of thanks to Allison, especially. She was really great in ensuring the audit was completed in a very timely and efficient manner. So I just wanted to convey a special round of thanks to Allison. So with that, we can start with the audit presentation. So if you could just turn to page 5, which is what I've displayed here on the screen. So this essentially gives us a snapshot of the current status of the audit here today. And as you can see, we have substantially completed our audit, and the only remaining procedures are around having the discussion with the council here today and having the council approve the financial statements. So with that, and before I get going, at any point, if there's any questions, do feel free to let me know. Happy to take any questions, go into further detail. So on page 7, this is definitely like one of the most important slides in this presentation is around materiality. So at a very high level, materiality is what we use. It's the benchmark amount that we use and which we determine to be most important to the users of the financial statement. It essentially helps us to determine the size, the scope, and the scale of our audit. And as you can see, materiality for the current year was set at 150,000, which was pretty much the same materiality which we used in the prior year's audit as well. So there hasn't been any changes as far as materiality is concerned for the current year. Do note that the 150,000 is the aggregate threshold at which we completed, is the aggregate threshold. The actual audit is completed at a much lower threshold, which I'll go into further detail on the upcoming slides. But as far as materiality is concerned, no changes here compared to last year. On the next slide, we basically have a snapshot of the financial position of the township. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the key highlights in the current year. If you're looking at the asset position, so cash has significantly reduced in the current year compared to the prior year. So if you see in the previous year, it was 5.6 million. In the current year, it's sitting at 3.3 million. And I would say this is largely due to the increased investing activities in the year. And by investing activities is essentially all the expenditures incurred towards the capital projects. So this is one of the major driving factors as to why the cash position is lower compared to last year. And if you're looking at the other asset components, accounts receivable is sitting at over 500,000, slightly over 500,000 compared to 350,000 last year. And this is largely to do with the timing of when we are able to recover the receivables, when customers do tend to pay off the balances that are owed to the township. There isn't any single balance sitting in there, which is on the significant side and which is driving this increased AR position. It's simply a matter of timing. When we look at the non-financial assets, as you can see, tangible capital assets is sitting at 17 million compared to 9 million last year. And this is largely due to the completion of the new complex, the Fire and Admin Works complex. So that itself accounts for roughly 7 to 7.5 million of the total additions in the year. And the remaining is to the can be attributed to the ongoing roadworks, vehicle purchases. So that's why TCA is sitting at a much higher position this year compared to last year. And when you're looking at financial liabilities, the one item that really sticks out is the long-term liability of 5.5 million. So this is the new financing which had been obtained from Infrastructure Ontario and which is essentially going to be funding the fire complex. Apart from that, the only other liability caption which has had a bit of a significant movement is the obligatory reserve fund. So in the current year, increased usage was had occurred towards ongoing roadworks, and this is partially offset by any new obligatory reserve funding that had been received in the year. So in the current year, what you spent more was greater than what you had received, and hence the lower position in the current year. The next slide is essentially just a snapshot of what makes up your TCA. As you can see, buildings account for close to 50% of your tangible capital asset. There hasn't really been any significant changes, I would say, in terms of the percentages in the current year compared to last year. The next slide is essentially a snapshot of your reserves and reserve funds over the last 5 years. And as you can see, the reserve funds in the current year have improved compared to 2024, where it was sitting at roughly 5.2 million. And in the current year, this is now closer to around 5.6 million. The next slide essentially shows your reserve funds as a percentage of your operating expenses in the year. And as you can see, the year over year, it has remained more or less stable. There hasn't been any significant fluctuations year over year. It's remained fairly stable. The next slide is a snapshot of your statement of operations. And again, I'll just walk you through some of the major highlights in the current year. Taxation revenue is up, and which is very much aligned with the budget that had been set at the start of the year. Federal grant funding have increased in the current year, and again, largely towards your ongoing capital projects. Investment income is almost 1/3 of what it was last year. And again, this can be attributed to the significant withdrawals during the year to meet your ongoing capital requirements. And hence, the related income is on the lower side. When we look at expenses, it's 5.7 million across all the different departments, and which is fairly close to what was budgeted at the start of the year, which was 5.65. So your overall expense position at the end of the year is very much in line with your budget. And across each individual category here, transportation services is where the most significant increase has occurred, 2.6 in the current year compared to 2.2 million in the previous year. And if you look at it in further detail, it can be largely attributed to increase in the OPP costs, additional grading and dust control works. So that's very much driving the increase in your materials and services caption. And when we come to the very bottom of this page, we do see the accumulated municipal equity sitting here, 15.5 million compared to 14.8 million last year. And within this is where your reserves and reserve funds is sitting. So operating reserves in the current year has marginally increased by 0.1 million. Capital reserves has increased a bit further ahead by 0.2 million. So reserve funds have not really moved significantly year over year, has remained more or less in line with what was the position in the prior year. Oh, I thought I heard something.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. This slide is essentially what your operating expenses is made up of. And as you can see again, materials and services accounts for more than 50% of your total expenses category. Again, in terms of percentages, fairly in line with what we had seen in last year. There isn't any significant or unusual fluctuations over here. The next slide speaks to any changes in our audit plan compared to the prior year. And when we look at our audit plan in the prior year and in the current year, there hasn't been any significant changes year over year. It has remained more or less in line with the audit approach that was taken in the prior year. The only item on this slide of note is we did have a finding on completion of our unpredictable procedures. So year over year, we do perform procedures which are unpredictable in nature. So we do not tend to keep it the same year over year. We try to element some form of unpredictability in terms of our approach, the testing. So on completion of the procedures in the current year, we did notice that when it comes to the review of bank reconciliations, there was a lack of adequate segregation of duties. So that was one finding which had been communicated to management, and which, from what we understand, is one of the areas that will be focused on going into the 2026 audit. So we did bring this to the attention of management. Apart from this one finding, there's nothing else to report on this slide. The next slide speaks to our risk assessment. So essentially, KPMG's audit approach is a risk-based approach. We look at the financial statements as a whole, and then we try to determine which areas require the most amount of attention. And as we can see, management override of controls has been given a significant risk rating. Now, across any audit we do here in Canada, we always go with the mindset that there's always a possibility with regards to management overriding controls. So this is an approach we take across every audit. And because there's a presumed risk of fraud with regards to override of controls, we have given it a significant risk rating, and which was the same rating which we had given last year when we presented the audit findings report as well. The other areas have remained at a base rating in line with last year. And on the next slide, we have basically shown here the procedures which we performed in order to address the risk of management override of controls. And upon the completion of our procedures, we did not identify any findings. It was all satisfactory, nothing to note in that regard. The next slide speaks to audit misstatements. Now, as you might recall, I did mention that materiality is set at 150,000, but the actual audit procedures are performed at a much lower threshold, which is 7,500. So in that regard, there wasn't any misstatements that have remained uncorrected. So all misstatements which we would have identified during the course of the audit was communicated to management, and which have been appropriately reflected in these financial statements. So there aren't any misstatements which remained uncorrected. As of the year end, management was fully cooperative, and all the misstatements have been appropriately recorded in the financial statements in front of you. The next slide speaks to control deficiencies. Now, we are required by audit standards here in Canada that we are required to obtain an understanding of the internal control environment when it comes to the financial reporting process. So upon the completion of our procedures, we do not have any significant deficiency when it comes to the financial reporting process, which is a big win. So we didn't have any deficiencies of a significant nature that we would like to bring to the attention of council. The next slide speaks to accounting policies and practices. No changes to report in this regard. The accounting policies and practices have remained consistent with the prior year. No new items of note in that regard. The next slide, specific topics. So we are required again by audit standard to complete certain inquiries with management as well as those charged with governance. And we completed all the required inquiries in terms of any form of illegal acts, if there was any significant deficiencies, if there was any disagreements with management. So we completed all these inquiries, and again, no items to report. This slide speaks to independence, and we would like to inform council that we remained in compliance with all CPA standards, ethical standards in terms of independence. So again, no items to report here. So with that, I've pretty much come to the end of the main part of the presentation. And before I go into the appendices, is there any questions, anything that requires further discussion?
Nope, all good.
Great, thank you. On page 26, we have a copy of the draft audit report. And again, in line with last year, we have issued a clean opinion on these financial statements. So again, great news there. No items to report. The wordings, the opinions, is all in line with what you would have presented last year, so no changes in that regard. And just fast forwarding to slide 43. So here we essentially give, it's a form of ranking in terms of how the audit process went, and the most and the one point which is always of most interest to our clients is around the how ready the client was at the time of when we commenced with the audit. And again, no items to report. All the required documentation was provided to us in a very timely manner. Management was fully cooperative, and we didn't have any issues in that regard. The next slide, which is on slide 44, speaks to the upcoming changes in accounting standards. And the only one which might potentially require some form of, which should be on your radar would be around PS 1202. This won't be effective for the current year, but starting for the audit for the year December 2027, this will come into play. Essentially, it's going to result in a revision of how these financial statements are presented. It's not going to have an impact in terms of how the numbers are reported, but it's more to do with how they are presented. The remaining slide speaks to other accounting standards, which are going to be coming into play, and which I'm not going to go into too much detail. As you can see, they're all impacting years 2029 and beyond. So I'm not going to go into further detail in that regard. And coming to slide 49, this is essentially just containing a number of live links of matters, both financial as well as non-financial, which committee members, council members across the region are interested in. So I've included this in the presentation. It does include live links. Do give it a read when time is permitting. And I think with that, I'm pretty much done with my presentation.
Open it up if there's any questions.
No questions. I mean, it's good for the detailed report. You know, you basically told us what we already know, that our staff are very organized and have everything ready to go for you, which is fantastic.
Exactly.
And I think the other side of it too, as well, is that, you know, it's another good audit as far as everything that we've seen and showing the great cross control that our staff does and working with council. I mean, it's the nice team that we have. So when we get these type of reports back from the auditors saying staff had everything ready to go and everything looks good, and that's what we're doing, it really reassures, I think the residents on how well run the township is being ran. So kudos to, thank you for Anoop for this report, and also
Happy
kudos
to.
to our staff too as well for the organization, and also, you know, how we keep everything online, and kudos to our council members that are on top of all this too as well. So these are really good things. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anoop.
Thank you.
Thank Thank you for having me here today, and until probably next year.
See you next year.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Take care and have a nice rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Following up from Jeff, yes, thank you to Ali and your management team. And it's hard when we're a small municipality to check all our boxes, but we do a very good job in ensuring that we have internal controls set, thanks to Ali and the team. Doing very well, so thank you. So moved by Councillor Abbas. Sorry.
Just to say a couple things or clarify a couple things. So the 5.5 million in the debt, that was, just to remind everybody, that was our construction loan that we didn't actually solidify until 2026.
Yeah.
Just for that, the reserve changes were because we did self-borrow in 2024 until we started pulling from our construction loan. So we weren't paying that interest down. So then the investment income from 2024 to 2025 was 1/3 because we were using our own money, but we were still over that budgeted amount that we had accounted for, and enough so much that we actually could fund the interest that we paid on the construction loan. The bank rec segregated duty is very difficult when I am many positions, so I think the report later on this evening will help to rectify some of that. On that, I just wanted, it was again another audit year, and we went through everything, but I just wanted to clarify some of those things. I think even you'll see that tax arrears were a little higher. We've been focusing on that this year. Even since the end of April, we've collected about 110,000 in the arrears portion. So, yeah, it was another good audit, but just wanted to clarify some of those things with council. So you have that comfortability of the 5.5 was not what you signed for the debenture. Just remember that we're 2025 year end.
Yeah.
Okay.
So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll that council accepts presentation by CPMG audit findings for the year ended December 31st, 2025 as information. All in favor? It's carried. Now we're back to our reports and it's
Treasurer? D?
Yeah, round to D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, we bounced around a little bit. I just wanted to do where we were.
So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that council approves the draft Marrickville Public Library Agreement and that council directs staff to bring a bylaw to the September 1st, 2026 meeting to formalize the agreement. All in favor? It's carried. And now we're on E.
Let me take this one.
Yep.
Okay, so thank you, council. So you did hear this evening from a delegation from Mr. Vo in relation to the property located at 7526-7528 Roger Stevens Drive, the old gas station just up the road here. So in order for council to make a decision this evening, we went ahead and brought a report with the Dell.
Sorry, just put your hand up. I was just saying, just wait for you to finish, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, with the delegation, so, the background information is here for council. They did provide the, purchase of sale agreement. I think that it's important to note that there's been a substantial amount of bylaw and staff time go into this property over the last number of years. Based on the property standards bylaw is why the order was placed on the building to either repair or demolish. We have provided an extension. The original date was July 6th. Staff did provide an extension to the 15th of August to allow time for the completion of the assessment of the building by an engineer and provide either apply for a building permit to renovate or demolish the building by no later than August 31st. At this point in time, it would not be the recommendation of staff to extend it beyond that because it's been a number of years that this property has been dealt with. It did get dropped slightly when our bylaw enforcement officer was tragically killed in an accident. And there was some transition and delays there. So it's our recommendation not to, but it's up to council to consider a couple of options. That you don't extend further, and it advises us to direct the owner or agent of the decision. Option 2 is that you do provide an extension with a certain date, and provide us direction to advise the owner or agent, or you provide us in an alternative direction. So we're looking for council to make a decision on the options so that we can advise the owner or agent of the owner.
We'll open it up for our discussion. Oh, you had a question?
No, so I was sitting here with my brother, like just shortly about the gas station, and I just wanted to confirm. The gas station is a firm offer, so it's sold. So we're just waiting for the closing date for November 16th, just to close that gas station. So what we would like to do is to ask for an extension to save the building for the new owners. That he wants to move to Smith Falls and he wants to run his business and just run his business. I know it's been a very long time that my family had this issue, and we have tried and we're willing to work with the city to try to keep the building. And we ask that you allow us to keep it until closing date, until everyone changes.
Go
So
ahead.
going back. I just, the devil's in the details. Firm offer that is confirmed, like
That it's
pending, no,
sold.
pending,
There's no conditions on the, there's no conditions.
but he said pending financing, so that's what.
So there's no
there's a-
financing involved. He's got the finance.
So just for accounts, so everybody's clear. The only option is not just to demolish, they can get a permit
Yeah.
to rectify the issue. So basically, an engineer now has to come in because of the condition of the building and provide a document of what needs to be done to rectify the building, and that process would start. So it's not that the only option is to demolish, it's that an engineer design with a building permit by August 31st. So that continues. So now, if nothing moves forward, then we will be moving forward with either demolition or repair, and demolition
So
would be the
which
cheaper.
she's politely saying is, the new owner, if he's planning on keeping the building, could push forward to get that and then salvage the building.
So he wants to keep the building.
Which it means he's gonna have to do this anyways.
Right.
Which he could push forward and get that engineered and make sure that it's viable. Provide it, and then he would have a plan to go forward. But without that, it's just getting another year of rotting until next year.
We only have, so would you like the?
You still have a date that's already on here.
August. For the closing date or for the?
The extension is till the 15th, but you have until, if I'm not mistaken, to have all the stuff in order at the end of the month.
I know.
15th for the engineering, but there's,
So it's an extension to August 15th for the completion of the assessment of the building, so an engineer. And a building permit application and associated fees being submitted by no later than August 31st.
yeah,
So that's next week.
but you've been provided this for a while.
Yeah, so we, can we get it, so we're gonna look for a contract with for an engineer, can we get an extension? My brother's getting married in 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
But, okay, so we have to get an engineer in to provide,
The issue that staff as well as council is having is, it's been going since 2018. And there's been nothing done, nothing rectified, and it's actually just deteriorating more. So it becomes very hard for council to control if we don't do something and kind of say, here's the end date.
okay, so, okay.
Staff is very reasonable and I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they are probably the most reasonable people. If they saw that you needed an extra few days, I'm sure that would be within reason.
So on June 20th, the planner was notified that they were working with a licensed professional to provide quotes for both the repair and demolition to better make a decision to move forward. So that's where the extension to August 15th came, was that, that gave the month of July and half of August. So that's why that extension was made, that is a reasonable time to get an engineered document prepared. Just so that you guys understand why we provided the extension without your approval prior to.
Okay.
So
And
you see,
why you understand that too, is that was substantial time to get
Yeah.
that document completed. So
so it sounds like staff has been really working with you.
Okay.
And I'm not saying it's necessarily you, I don't
No,
know.
it's just been, yeah, I understand and I really appreciate it. Yeah, okay, so, I've had my brother help me with this, with my parents are still getting older and like getting to from the time come up. Okay, so I will talk to my brother again and, see, he's got some in his back pocket. I just don't know why he didn't present anything today. But I will talk to him and, get things moving.
we'll follow up with you guys tomorrow, if that works, or you will send an email with us.
Okay, so we'll just converse through email and follow up that way.
Yeah,
Okay,
if that, everybody's fine with that, okay.
alright,
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, so.
Thanks, Kelly.
No problem.
No, no, thank you.
Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Reid Carroll that council direct staff of option one as provided on this date in relation to the property standards at 7526-7528 under Stevens Drive. In favor? That's carried. And now we're on to our municipal manager, treasurer, deputy clerk for our municipal manager, CEO, clerk hiring committee.
Thank you, Chair. So this report's coming to council. We had previously discussed posting for deputy treasurer, deputy clerk to relieve the workload when the junior planner resigned to go closer to where she lives for working. We did post. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful in the posting and the interviews for that position. At the time when that discussion occurred, council agreed that if we couldn't get a deputy treasurer, deputy clerk, we would then go out for the municipal manager, CAO/clerk position, as it's going to be the easier position to hire than a treasurer. So with that, the report's coming back to you for discussion. So the recommendation would be to post immediately until filled. So basically, in the event that we got a really good application, you can interview right away, fill immediately. There are some options for council. They approve that the municipal manager, CAO, clerk job description as presented on this date. You approve an internal, my recommendation is internal, external at the same time, immediately until filled. That you appoint all members of council to the hiring committee. I think it's important for that position that you all sit in on that. And that you provide direction on who you wish to sit in, because it'll be an in-camera. So if you want somebody from Lanark County or surrounding municipal clerk to sit in on that, to clerk the meeting for you, or that you provide us in an alternative direction. So I do have the financial implications there as well. Option one would increase the municipal budget $39,000 over the 2026 budget amount, keeping in mind though that we were already going to be over the budget amount with me keeping both positions. Council had given me a contract that was more than just the CAO amount. So it actually is less than what you agreed to pay myself to do both roles for this year. And it will alleviate a workload. I think at this time, as we previously said, the CAO role will be easier to fill than the treasurer role. Because we did talk about filling the treasurer role and me staying in the municipal manager role. And my fear is just that we've been short-staffed for almost 4 years now. And I think this may be the easier role to fill. There's less educational components required to this role.
Any thoughts on? Remember, can we send that to you for discussion on who to sit in on the interviews that you were saying?
Sure.
Maybe we don't decide that now,
Yeah,
we're just gonna
yeah,
say, like,
so-
let's say.
Where it says and further that council provide direction, we will,
You just need somebody to clerk the meeting for you, basically.
yeah, so we will send suggestions to Allison.
But it shouldn't be somebody that's in our,
It shouldn't be one of us because they're gonna be our
it's got,
boss.
yeah, and we did that before we were.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
why like Lander County or surrounding,
Yeah,
so. But we can email Allison to get that arranged with somebody who, well, suggestions and see whether they'll even be interested, but.
Yeah.
And yeah, so who those,
yeah.
well, because we'd like to get it posted like tomorrow.
Yep.
So who the resumes go to as well.
For this. So does it go to all of council still, since we'll be on the hiring committee?
But who the, like whenever they apply, whose email it's gonna go to.
So you need the answer like tomorrow.
For that, I do.
Okay.
Like, it's fine if you want the resumes to come to me and I can disperse it to all of you. That I don't sit in on the meetings, or that you wanna pick.
Could we tentatively pick you to receive and disperse to the necessary bodies? That way you can put it out tomorrow. even if it takes us 2 days, 3 days to figure out who the person who's going to run the meeting is? I'm asking what we're allowed to do.
Yeah, well, you absolutely can, it's
Okay.
just what your comfort level.
But I think that would be the easiest way to get this answered right now, is to say the resumes go to you for now.
Okay.
And to be dispersed accordingly while we find a person to clerk that.
Cause we can suggest somebody right now, but that person might say no.
I might say no.
But we're saying,
Yeah.
we're saying that name here, like somebody from the county or something.
I'll reach out to them as a staff
And I
person
think
to
that-
say, hey.
Yeah.
So just if you can send me, that'd be great, and for now, we'll try and get this posted tomorrow, it'll just be to me for now.
Mhm.
And then, any applications I receive will go to all of council.
Correct.
Yeah, so there's no, the filtering is then still like that, so
Yeah.
it removes you from any sort
Yep.
of like, it's I think my only comment, like, I mean, this is one of those things in municipal side of things where it's increasingly harder to get, I think that's where the public have to understand, of finding people. Like, we just saw Tay Valley sign with Smiths Falls for, building inspector support because they can't find somebody. And we know other municipalities that have put out numerous times of trying to find the deputy clerk, deputy treasurer goals and all that kind of idea. So I think making sure the public understand, like, we don't have a goal of short staffing for 4 years.
No,
It's
salaries to try and attract them. And that's where we will struggle, is our competitiveness for salaries to those other municipalities. So it is difficult, and we've been very fortunate that we've had the staff we have that have kept us for 4 years, because to even find contract people that are retired is difficult, because it's sad, but since COVID, it's become positions that people are retiring and they don't wanna go back, they don't wanna do contract, it's like, they're done, it's like, it's been enough.
We've been very lucky to have staff that tolerates us. Because if we didn't have staff tolerate us as much as they do, we could be short a lot more staff. But no, the staff is great, and but it is difficult, and we are pulling from a smaller and smaller pool. But yeah, Jeff, that's a great plug for schooling and things.
Not that you do, but I mean, in my time at Carlton Place, when I had the high schools calling for co-op placements, and I said to them, this is a career that you need to really push, because I said, when you look at all the different departments that hire our municipalities, students need to be aware as to what's out there, because it's not something people think about. So, but it's getting harder and harder, even in like childcare. And I mean, we've done a huge expense over in Elmont, and for them to try and hire now staff, because of the fact that it's just getting harder and harder. And what happens is you get one municipality posting and paying, so it's pulling from this municipality over, and then that one now is hiring, and it's pulling from another, that it becomes a very vicious circle of trying to get people. And I mean, our ads that we put out, not only just on our social media, but through the agencies of like AMCTO, which are for the municipalities, to get people to be interested, and it's just getting harder and harder.
So, yeah, so I guys post this and,
Yeah.
and it's,
Cross the
and
fingers.
trying to find the solution so that we
Yeah.
can continue to not burn out our staff, and also to continue to do the great things that our township, has really been successful at. So I think that's the biggest part of it as well. So let's say,
Friends of friends, anybody?
So moved by Deputy Reeve Garland, second by Councillor Bass, that council approves the municipal manager CAO clerk job description as presented on this date, and that council approves the internal, external posting of the position immediately and will be posted until filled. And that council appoints all members of council to the hiring committee. And further, that council provide direction to staff on whom they wish to sit in on the interviews from Lanark County, surrounding municipalities for a current staff position. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So moved by Deputy Reid Carroll and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that council approve the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting dated June 16th, 2026, and the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Bass, seconded by Councillor Crabtree. That council approve the minutes of the Montague Recreation Culture Committee, MRCC meeting dated May 2026, as presented this date. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Reid Carroll, that council accept the minutes of the Marrickville Public Library Board meeting of May 26, 2026 as information. All in favor? Carried.
Sorry, quick question, just because I see wonderful John here, was he supposed to say anything about the,
No, please on the quarterly reports. And then I will-
on the cow?
Cow, yes.
But that's okay.
I saw your eyes, so I was like, okay.
No, I knew what I was doing. Sure.
Moved by Deputy Reid Carroll and seconded by Councillor Bass that council accepts the minutes of the Smith Falls Public Library Board meeting of June 23rd, 2026 as information. All in favor? And that's carried. Petitions on the bylaws. Moved by Deputy Reid Carroll, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that bylaw 4224-2026, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 4070-2024 to amend the zoning for the lands to be severed in consent application B25-115 from tourist commercial special exception 1 CT1 to limited services residential LSR. All in favor? That's carried. All right. No motion. No, what was the motion? Action items, Lanark County Council media release, June 24th. June 24th.
So the only one I really wanted to bring the highlight to this one here was like, there's a lot of stuff in there, obviously, in that one, but the one I wanted to talk about was more just about the status quo recommended for the rescue services. So the rescue services is our, it's one of the three, emergency service, machines, or trucks that we house here at the township. We had made discussion with the county and we had done the same Loomis company that came in and do our fire side of it to talk about, should we keep it the same, enhance it, or get rid of it altogether? There was talk about all three. There was a great group of, like Steve Fournier was on it, and a couple of people on it that kind of went back to as well, and to really dive deep and see like about keeping that system or not. I know Karen and I were obviously advocating to make sure that we kept that service too as well, because we want to make sure we kept that truck in our bay, because some of the things with other municipalities, they have bought their own jaws of life, they bought their own things. But, you know, we want to make sure that we haven't done those kind of things, but we also want to make sure that piece of equipment is readily available to us and everything else. So right now it's status quo, which is good. It means that for the foreseeable future, that system will still be there, and we still have access to that piece of machinery and all the equipment, which I think is a benefit to us, and not having to worry about going down a different conversation. So I think I would just want to make sure sharing that, and I know that would discuss about, and that we're keeping it, and the public understand that we're keeping it. So
For the costing of the equipment, if every municipality can service on it versus having the three within the county.
yeah, it's a nice service, that it's a nice agreement with the county too as well, and we're fortunate to have that. And I say fortunate, but it's also like logistically, it's here for a reason, the project to why it's here. And like one of those arguments was always like, you know, is it like, how much is it used? And it's not used like a lot, but the same token is though, the times that it is, it's saving lives. And I think it's hard. Where do you put the dollar value at that point on the savings of lives and everything else? So I think it's nice that that decision was made, that we're gonna keep the status quo on that one. So
The next one is Leonard County 2026, and it said builders.
I want to bring this up, this is really, really cool, like we did this last year, and there was like 8, I think, recipients, and it's expanded. So this is basically like recognizing people in Leonard County, and it's like one of those things where if you know people that are doing really cool things with the youth, and when you sit down and you listen to all of the different people that they went through, some of them, I mean, I've seen in my own school, some of them are friends that I've been connected to as well, and I know how great they are. And some I never even knew before, and listening to what their story is and what the cool things that they do with the youth. I think it's really, really exciting to hear and sort of to get to listen to what these people do for the youth, and if we have people that we can think to as well in our community too as well, that do great things for our youth, to make sure that we're nominating those people too as well for next year. But it's very exciting. I think it's a very awesome highlight. They're wonderful individuals that did do a lot of really, really cool things, and some of them, like I say, I see out there, and I see what they do, and they truly are making a difference. So I think it's really neat to highlight those, and also to recognize people if we see the people that we can for our youth. So I think it's really neat.
Next is the business retention and expansion.
So this is on the go. They've done the training for everything too as well, for the business of retention, continuing to look at businesses, getting businesses. There's people are starting the interviews, starting the process, going through it. Tim's been very active in this. I think he's been a great hire for this contract for the county. And once again, I know we have a list of Montague businesses too as well that are going to be talked to. And hopefully, like we can see, like it's good. Like we're moving forward with this. We have people that are interviewing. We have people that are going ahead. And I think it's exciting. I have my partner. I know you have your partner.
Yeah, we have our set questions that
and we
we've
have
been provided.
Yeah, and there's a set questions exactly that can be looked at. So it's exciting. I think to see how we can help maybe support our businesses too as well in here, and also through the county too as well. The next one,
Silver chain
the
shop.
silver chain was exciting because we always get smoked by Leonard County, or sorry, by Renfrew. So it was really this one of those ones that people in Leonard County, and I believe our school was hopped on it too as well, and was reporting stuff and putting stuff too as well. So it's exciting that we I'm not gonna do all this too much, but we beat Renfrew for the first time, I think, since we've been up in Leonard County. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So it's a fun challenge, but it also just shows the activeness of people getting out. And once again, just trying to highlight that and trying to get people to be active. And I think it's exciting to get people out and active.
Well, and it's great that the schools participated because it's great for the kids to be out and being active.
And go
So,
walks.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, walking even our trail was part of it.
Yeah, it's
So,
exciting.
yeah.
So it is really, really cool. The next one, the Warden's Golf Tournament, I know the biggest thing is we made a little change with the way that where money is gonna go. So Leonard County is also, at council, we put up money too as well to say that we're gonna put $50,000 towards it. And also getting the, whatever money comes from the Warden's Tournament. And once again, it's to put forth for kids and sports and activities. It's just like Champion for Kids and Jumpstart, but sometimes they get oversaturated. So it's another one once again. I know Warden Kid he's a big advocate for kids sports and kids. He still coaches football. And it was his idea, and I think it's really cool. And it's another one of those ones where, so if you know kids that need, they can't afford hockey, they can't afford dance, they can't afford whatever activity they want to do and they want to help with. It's another avenue too as well that we can help hopefully support with that kind of stuff. So
Because it notes like music lessons, art classes, so it's not just the sports, which some of those others target. This one is including additional things for children in Leonard County.
it's just getting kids that don't have something, once again, another thing in Leonard County. So if we have those kids, those kids, they come to it. I mean, I see them obviously every day. So it's one of those things where it's nice to be able to have another avenue that we can help support the kids in our community too as well. So it's the other one is the natural heritage system. So we have like I sit in the committee because of being the chair of the economic development committee, and we've been discussing it. This is the first phase of getting information out there. I'm hoping we can. Have we posted this on our? We posted this. I thought we did. Yeah, it's really important to get people's knowledge and information about their backyards, of where the wetlands are, the forestry, where they're seeing the animals move, the animals see, all of that kind of idea. It's just trying to get more information. We added this in a discussion phase. So originally it was there, it was like, do you want to have this added? And I know in the meeting I had said like, this is something I think we should do. Let's go to the public and make sure, and also to make sure the public are aware of what we're doing. It's not like we're trying to cut down land and saying we can't build here. It's just getting a really good understanding of where it is in this process too as well. I think more information to come, but it's important for if we can get the public to recognize those spaces too as well as they go through that process. So the next one I had was, I think it's just, we all know about the combination of all of our conservation authorities. If you don't know Summer from Rio Valley, but now she's gonna be, she's phenomenal, and I think it's exciting that we still get to keep her as our CAO for that. So I think it's I know talking with Summer and dealing with Summer over the years, she's very level-headed, great person to talk to, tries to come across with and answer questions that you know, to the best that she can. So I think she's a great and lucky for us to have that. So
Yeah.
The other one, I think I might have missed it though, was just the OPP side. So the OPP was our second quarter stuff, and I think it's really it has a lot of really good data about sort of what happens in our community, the vulnerable side of our community. And it gives really good data that I think everybody should be aware of to see what some people in our community are going through. And we talk about sort of the especially like the intimate partner violence, the sexual assaults, the you know, stuff with a weapon. And also like even the referral side of things too as well. Like it always scares me when I look down and I see like what people are referring to, where like there was like even this year, there's 26 people were offered support into victim services. 4 of them were for intimate partner violence. Only 8, but 0 from the intimate partner violence accepted that help. So it's one of those things that we know that that those things are going on in our community. We should never bury our heads in the sand for that stuff. This is where our OPP talks are, our OPP costs go to. So I think it's really important. The other one that I highlighted that I know Reeve Jennings is looking into too as well is that we had a foot patrol that's also monitored on this. And historically in the last quarter, we don't have a year date number, which is curious, but historically in the last quarter, 2024, we had 22 hours of foot patrol of patrol cruiser, and it was 66. And then all of a sudden we have 160 hours of patrol. And it's like, where did that huge jump come from? Did anybody notice more policing in our community? And I think it's just more of understanding of what that data shows, because I think we're curious about what the other part was there was 4 hours of.
No, but it is, yeah, strictly like the patrol cruiser and how that, so.
Yeah, what that is, like 153 hours of that control, of that cruiser, because once again, it's our biggest expense, so understanding, it's great getting these reports back, by the way, but it's understanding what we're seeing and how many hours are actually being allocated to our municipality and what that looks like, and we want to make sure that since we see a big jump like that, an understanding of what that came from, and also like questioning like how often they are actually in our municipality and doing those things, because I know people always ask about that stuff as well. So we're gonna get clarification about that too as well.
Yeah, so the report came while we are on a break. Our next meeting is until September. And the gentleman that provided the stats is on holidays for 2 weeks. So I will be hearing from him, and as soon as I have the information, I will be sharing with that. Yeah.
They another jump coming too, because they're gonna start negotiations again for the next 4 years.
Well, that's the other thing too as well, yeah.
So we're gonna be getting.
Be prepared for that costing. But it's nice to get this information too as well, because when we talk about the costing, it's a massive part of our budget. But we want to see, okay, so what are you doing? And like, I mean, some of them are like, they are doing stuff in our municipality, it's clear. But like, it's good to understand it all and really try to digest it all so we can, and if we have questions like that, I mean, we want to make sure they can answer them too as well. So anyways, thank you for, there's a lot, this whole meeting's heavy, but I mean, like there's a lot of heavy stuff that came through too as well. So I think that's it.
What happens when you have July off? So we have no unfinished business or other business. Do we have questions from our audience in tonight's meeting? Mr. Tom.
I have a comment. I think that's very good the way the council has questioned the drainage for the subdivision, that it doesn't flood out somebody else. Because in the last 2 or 3 weeks, not in Leonard, it's in Leonard County, but it's on County Road, but it's not in Montague Township. I seen where they did the ditching, and I seen it, and I said, first heavy rain, it's gonna flood out that property down there. Yesterday morning, it was a lake,
Yeah.
that property. The people that have been on that property for some of them more than 12 years said they've never seen that much water laying there, even in the spring flood off. That was, and they just cleaned the ditch out so the water just roars down. Before, I guess with all the debris in there, it came down slow. But when they drained it that way, it really made a difference. And for the OPP being on the roads, I see more paramedic vehicles on the road than I do OPPs.
I could probably concur with that, I agree with that, yeah.
The paramedics are out there a lot more on the road than the OPPs are. Personal experience.
Questions online? No. Any questions? Okay. So, moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that bylaw 4225/2026 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on August 4th, 2026, being on first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 4th day of August 2026. All in favor? Carried. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Farrell that council adjourn the regular meeting of council of August 4th, 2026 at 7:55 PM until Tuesday, September 1st, 2026, or at the call of the chair. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We are back. So welcome back to our committee of whole in-person live streamed electronically on Tuesday, August the 4th. So our land acknowledgement, the council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land in which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas that the Committee of the Whole agenda for August 4th, 2026 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of interest now or at any point in time during our meeting. We have no delegations, report of municipal officers. We have our MRCC Chair, John Johnson Payton.
Thanks for waiting 2 hours.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Reeve Jennings, usually it's Chair Johnson, spelled wrong. I have to always plug that in. I hope he's listening. So this is the report for the second quarter of the year 2026. So running from April 1st through to June 30th, 2026. Very light schedule, because we were thinking we were going to have a summer activity with the 50th anniversary, which turned out to be in September. So for next year, we will do something going forward. We had volleyball, which went on till the end of May at the Montague Public School. We continued with the weekly yoga on every Wednesday night at Rosedale Hall. And we continued with Zumba fit class, but moved it to Monday evenings, which went on till the end of June. That's basically what we had going on for that period of time. Going forward, for the coming up in the next quarter, we've got yoga again for Wednesday nights, starting in September. We did host and are currently hosting a beach volleyball at the 22 acres. We were hoping to get 8 teams. I think we only got 7. Well, we had 8, 1 pulled. But it's had a couple of rained out Wednesday nights, which everybody's experiencing right now. But if the weather is good, then it's like tonight or tomorrow night. Weather looks good, should continue on. We are also participating in Harvest Fest, the Harvest Festival being held in Beckwith on September 13th. We'll have a table there. We're going to have some activities, probably popcorn give out, games for the kids, and Monty Moose will be there. We are also involved with the 50th anniversary of the Montague Township Fire Department, which is being held on September 19th, and that's being held here at the township office. My understanding is we have a couple of activities, plus we'll help with some setups on that day. And so we'll be involved with it. Not a lot to do with it, but certainly we'll be there for support and a couple of activities for the kids. And that is my report. Very good. Any questions?
Great.
Pardon me?
Great job.
Oh, okay.
You have done a great job since you've been on board.
Oh, thank you. All right, well, thank you.
For those watching Harvest Fest this year on September 13th, Montague Township is the featured municipality. So it's great that our MRCC are coming
We'll
out.
have a nice table.
Yeah.
We'll have a new poster we're going to put up, which we didn't know we had, but I'm gonna use. We're gonna bring the popcorn machine.
Yeah.
From Rosedale Hall, so it'll be fun. We're also gonna be advertising this time, which is a great avenue about our activities for the balance of the year, right up until Winterfest, which we're in the midst of developing with the office. We're just going to print it for us, and which is great.
And still always looking for volunteers.
Always.
The residents love the activities, but we definitely could use some extra volunteers.
Yeah, we've had one interest. I don't know if they went through with it. No. I've seen that. Somebody is involved with volleyball, so I'll follow up with that person and see if they're gonna continue but or pursue it. But yes, it would be nice. We have 8 members, including myself. And our 2 lovely council men, that are part of the 8. But yeah, would be nice to have somebody else.
Yeah.
New views, new ideas.
It's just when the activities are happening, more hands makes it easier for sure. And I mean, our residents are enjoying our activities. And so to keep it going, it certainly would be helpful to have some extra hands.
I'm enjoying the chair. I love it.
Even some ideas and just people that maybe don't want to fully commit, but are willing to volunteer at some events.
Yeah, we do have a number of volunteers that are not part of the committee,
Yeah.
which is nice. But the more we get, the
Yeah.
lighter
The
the
load.
load.
Yeah. Exactly.
100%, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moved by Deputy Carroll and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council accepts the second quarter Montague Recreation and Cultural Committee MRCC report for 2026 as information. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by moved by Councillor Abbas, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, the council accepts the second quarter water report as information. I saw fire up, so that's what threw me.
Yeah.
Like, hang on here, am I looking at the wrong thing? All right. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council accepts the second quarter fire department activity report as information. All in favor? Not carried. If there's any questions, just stop and we can ask. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas, that council accepts the second quarter building stats for 2026 report as information. All in favor? Carried.
See stuff going on.
Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council accepts the second quarter septic stats for 2026 report as information. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council accepts the second quarter public works activities report for information. That's here. Do we want to speak to it? Any questions? No, all good? Okay, so all in favor of the report? Carried. Thanks, Ed. Now we're gonna make Grace speak though.
Perfect spot.
Yeah. Tell us all in here, Grace.
Not really putting me on the spot when I'm the one that wrote this report and have been on most of these trips and been at these craft nights, but it's been really good to see how many residents and non-residents are enjoying the SALC trips and programming that we've been putting on over quarter 2. There's a lot going on. More coming up in quarter 3 and 4 as we're getting things posted and open for registration. Some of the highlights, try to take group pictures at most, if not all, but sometimes people like to scurry off before that happens. So April 22nd, we took 24 SALC members down to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Ottawa for the Price is Right Live. There was some free time there. I got to enjoy the show. Jim taught me how to play a couple of slot games and yeah, it was quite fun. Then we had another sign night with Terry White of Swirlicious toward the end of April. We love having her. She's great. Everyone seems to really love her personality. She's got lots of it for sure. May 7th, we went down to the Kingston Grand Theater for the Comic Strippers. It is exactly how it sounds. It's a comedy show with 4 men who are shirtless. The whole point is that they are not much to look at, but they're funny. Jim really liked that one, I must say. Just due to some scheduling things, there was no craft night for May, but we were able to bring in Jessica Lilly, local Montague resident, to teach us how to create a macrame plant hanger. There were some people that were struggling with that, some people that were flying through it. So it's always good to have different skill levels for all the craft nights, especially since none of them are restricted to just SALC members. Craft nights are open to everyone, which is very nice. We also had Cress teaching chair yoga at the Forget Me Not Club Tuesday mornings. And after a little summer break here, we're gonna have her back in the 3rd quarter for some more chair yoga. There's definitely lots going on. This morning, we just dropped the Red Blacks football game bus trip on September the 26th. We'll also have, I guess this will be in the 4th quarter, but there's an overnight fall color boat cruise trip up in Peterborough. In October, we'll be having craft nights each month as well, and then there'll be another trip coming up in December. So to any of our 158 SALC members, make sure you're watching your email on the Montague Senior 55 Plus Facebook page.
I'd just like to say, since I've been on 1 or 2 of these trips, I think Grace is doing a fantastic job warming her away.
Keeping track of this, you mean?
Well, she has Ally there that's been doing a lot of the things in the background and that, but as far as on the trips lately, it's been Grace there, and she's been doing great on that. Just so Ally knows that Grace is doing what she should be doing. Thanks very much, both of you.
She hasn't lost Jim yet.
And she's not doing what she
I did see a line in the budget that said they had that little bungee thing on the back of his.
Yeah. We're gonna get him a leashed backpack here soon and then just split open.
That's very good, you're doing a great job.
And very positive feedback on the posts online too about the activities and the craft sweep and offering. So very good, thank you. So, moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Reid Farrell, that council accepts the 2nd quarter Senior Active Living Center SALC report as information. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abad, council accepts the 2nd quarter planning report as information. All in favor? It's carried. Moved by Deputy Reid Farrell and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council accepts the 2nd quarter clerk's department report for 2026 as information. All in favor? Carried. We need Ali to speak on staff overtime. You read it? That's good to hear. So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Deputy Reid Farrell, the council receives the 2026 2nd quarter report from staff overtime as information. All in favor? That's carried. This one's for Ali on the budgetary control report. Anything you can highlight to us, please?
Sure. Now we have questions. Okay, so, nothing too, crazy going on here. I have noted some of the bigger items in the report, so just that right now hydro's sitting all underneath fire. It needs to be split between fire and public works for the new building. Public works, the debt charges for the new loan and some of the construction loan are sitting in that line item, which are anticipated to be offset with additional interest revenue that we'll bring in now that we've, our money is back in our account, and or development charges as previously discussed. The hall has been absurdly busy. It's been in the fall, I think there's something every day booked for it to be utilized, whether it's between our a lot of senior programming and or the MRCC yoga and Zumba that's starting back in the fall. So it's great, really being used. With that though, the janitorial expenses also go up. It's hand in hand. But I think it's a good problem to have that we're actually turning people away at this point in time because it's so heavily booked on weekends and stuff. Social services, so all of our donations, grants have been paid. There's no concerns up to the end of June. I think Public Works has had some equipment issues. But again, being multifaceted, they've been able to fix some of it themselves and save thousands of dollars. So right now, no concerns from a financial perspective.
Moved by Councillor Crabtree, second by Deputy Reed Farrell, that council receives the Ontario Control Report as of June 30th, 2026 as information. All in favor? Carried. 2026 Capital Works and Grant Projects update.
Do you want me to go through this? So we're on track with everything. We have the truck's been ordered, still on track for November delivery for the tandem plow to place number 11. The brushing and ditching activities, if you haven't noticed, if you take a drive around, you'll notice that the crew has been out with both pieces of equipment and have really accomplished and gotten a lot done, which is fabulous. McLaughlin Road is started, the shared roadway with Beckwith. Matheson Culvert is next week. Tentatively next week. Again, with all the rain, that obviously disrupts some things. Fire radios were purchased at the end of 2025. Dry hydrant, we're still looking at potentially some grant funding and or a report to come back to council in the next month or so. My understanding is that we got a new incident command board, but it just hasn't been funded yet through here. It hasn't been paid in that quarter. The DC study is underway. Development charge study is underway. The 22-acre development. So our joint facilities lead hand / equipment operator has been doing a fabulous job of keeping the 22 acres. We're getting a lot of compliments about the 22-acre park. And some of the plans still to happen there are the concrete pad to move the pavilion that used to be out front here over there to have a shade structure. And we have some other great things, whether we get to it this year or not, but that's ongoing. We received the Ontario Fire Grant that purchased 6 new additional bunker gear to have as alternatives and backups. Lanark County Tourism, that's on for this evening to go towards our Harvest Festival. The Lanark County Environmental Grant, again, council approved it to replace our heat pumps at the Rosa Hall. And our senior active living funding. So we were notified, it was after the first quarter. So that's why some of the delay in some of the activities. So again, that was $50,000+ that we've received to continue to do that. We have some other grant applications out that I think I am later on in the meeting, but so far everything is on schedule, so far on budget, and moving ahead.
Moved by Deputy Reed Farrell and second by Councillor Abbas that council accept the 2026 Capital Works and Grant Projects Update Report presented to state as information. All in favor? Carried. Next is our Public Works Manager on our 2026 OSIM report.
Thank you, Chair. So Ontario Structural Inspection Manual, or OSIM report, we do them every 2 years in the township. This covers any bridges, culverts over 3 meters. We're in great shape, honestly, with the investment the last few years. 2 on Birchville, Richardson recently, Matheson this year. Really, it's in great shape. So as expected, that's the way the report came back. Really just some housekeeping stuff, which involves some brushing, a bit of deck touch up on the bridge in Richardson. And again, these are all small activities that we'd already planned to do this year. Some of them have actually been completed already. So looking forward, it would be a large culvert on William Campbell will be the next one we'll be looking at. This one, a little unique in the fact that it's part of the municipal drain as well. So a bit more legwork to do ahead of time. The report says the next 5 to 10 years. But you can also see rapid deterioration of these culverts in those last few years. So it's something we're going to keep on our radar and inspect regularly in-house to sort of determine how soon we propose this in the budget. Any questions on the OSIP?
The only thing on those, and just for you, I wouldn't necessarily look at the replacement cost and be fearful. Cause they had Matheson, I think at 360 and it came in at 190.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind that they like to be very, very safe on their numbers. And we've seen that for the last 3 that we've done. So just for council's consideration on that, if that's not the Bible for the estimated costs.
So moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and second by Councillor Crabtree that council accepts and approves the report for the 2026 OSIM as presented on this date. All in favor? And that's carried. Is our Public Works Manager on our Stone Dust Award.
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, we're thinking of winter already. Winter grit, stone dust, material we use on the roads. So the current contract had expired. So it was posted, 21 days, it was posted in Bid and Go looking for submissions. We only received 1, unfortunately. It was from Kavanaugh Construction. That's who held the contract last year as well. You can see there's a bit of a price increase this year. It was posted with the same amount, the 2,500 metric tons. They do all the work. They deliver it, they stack it, they mix the salt and all that, and put it up in the shed. So just looking to go ahead and approve the contract to Thomas Kavanaugh.
Questions? So the increase that we've had though is what's been across the board for other municipalities for what they've received on their stone dust as well, is it not?
Yeah, and then really on all materials and everything we're doing. Yeah.
So moved by Councillor Bass and second by Councillor Crabtree that staff be directed to award contract 2026-PW-06 to Thomas Kavanaugh Construction for a total cost of $60,191.04, including non-refundable HST, and that staff be directed to utilize winter maintenance operational reserve if required. All in favor? Here. First in here. So is there anything we need?
This is just an update to council on a bill that was passed for the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection and
Yes.
Privacy Act, just so you guys know. Currently Kirsten as the clerk, but the new person that you have as the clerk, but these are just some of the changes to the requirement. We don't get a lot of MFIPA requests. If we do, it's, you know, for building documents a lot of the time or something along those lines. But just so that council's aware of the changes.
So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll that council receives staff's report regarding amendments to the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act stemming from Bill 97 as information. All in favor? And that's carried. And we have our peer review for professional planning and engineers.
Yes, so there's been a lot of amendments to the planning and building acts and to many different acts. They make changes and then reverse them, and there's been a lot of changes. So Kirsten is bringing this forward. There is changes to professional studies, so studies done by a professional engineer, and the requirement of a municipality to be able to charge somebody the cost for a peer review of a document that's been done by a professional engineer. So we have reached out to legal on clarification on the changes effective in January of this year. They provided us notice that if a review has been completed by a professional engineer, if a document has been prepared by a professional engineer, that we as the municipality can do a peer review, but the applicant is not responsible for the cost of that peer review unless they agree to it. We've only had one this year. that was completed and the people paid the fee for the peer review. But we did think it was important to bring it back for council consideration to provide them a refund of that because they may not have been aware that they were not required to pay that as we were not aware of the change. So Kirsten did provide some options for council to consider this evening, with the recommended option being that you receive the report on updates to the Planning Act related to studies submitted by professional engineers. And the council authorized staff to refund the peer review deposit in the amount of $3,310.90, inclusive of HST, to the applicant for the site plan application SP 26-002. And the council authorized staff to pay the peer review fees for site plan application SP 26-002 from the planning consulting fees line. So far that line is very low. Kirsten has not required much assistance on the consulting side of things throughout the year. And further, that council directs staff to review local planning fees and bring back a follow-up report to council with recommendations to increase or remain status quo following the municipal election. So basically, we're going to look at the planning fees and say, you know, if it's a planning application, similar to what you approved this evening, that's pretty simple and don't have studies, then it would be this fee. But if it's a complicated planning application that requires studies, it may be an additional fee that we could, I'm not saying cover the full of that peer review, but that we would be funding some of it with that. So that will come back to you as council, but we would like to have that option to kind of look at that and address the planning fees, because our fees are very low compared to others as it is. But that we would have two varying fees based on the type. So there's some that are just cleanup or making better, that don't require a lot of staff time and or studies. Questions?
I would say I mean, I agree. I look forward to coming back with that because I think recovering costs is really, at the end of the day, it's hard to do that at the end, like everything, but I mean, recovering costs is the ultimate goal in any of that. So we're not, people aren't paying for the planning, it's the people that are doing the planning. I guess I mean, some of my questions, I guess too as well, because there is that, in the case of legal action resulting from an approved based on these findings, drainage and all that kind of stuff, and council would like further legal review on this direction, need to provide staff. Because the biggest thing is if a professional engineer, we don't peer review it and they're wrong, what is our legal ability? Because I mean, it seems that in the past, what I've understood is it's very difficult to go back. And that's one of those things, I want to believe you. You're an engineer, you have the ring, you put the stamp and you said, this is what it is. I mean, not that it's gone, but it's okay, that's really, that's important. But then if it fails, because we didn't do peer review.
So, and through your chair, so that's why we still want that ability to do the peer review. We still want, when staff feel like, ooh, this needs to be done. Engineers are no different than any other human being. They make mistakes.
Yeah.
And maybe don't look at it from the same perspective that we as staff or public works, people who are here day to day, look at it. So that's where we're saying we want to look at the fees to be able to absorb some of that cost. And like I said, there's some applications that we do not need a peer reviewed, but there's some that absolutely we'd want a peer review. No different than the development we just spoke about this evening. An engineer can design it. It doesn't mean that we don't want our engineer to sit down through our lenses and review that document. So we still want that ability. The problem is we cannot make somebody, because they paid for a professional engineer, and obviously provincial legislation trumps anything we do. So our recommendation to council would still be to allow us to do that. And we will discuss what impact it may have on a budget, if at all, or the fees and charges to better address that.
Because it's tricky, because I mean, if I paid for a professional engineer and then you came back to me and said, okay, now we have to get another engineer, it's like, why do I gotta pay for that? I mean, because I completely understand that. It's I paid the engineer to do it, why are we doing it again?
Yeah.
And that last one, when we had it peer reviewed, we sent it back.
What last one are we talking about?
This one, this particular one that you're even talking about, the SB 26.
That's the Greer Galloway, or the Greer property.
So we peer reviewed that one.
The comments that went back were from staff.
From
Staff
staff, not,
concerns.
so the peer review when the engineer didn't have it.
It wasn't a lot, no.
It wasn't a lot, cause that's the other.
There's some, but it's still the fact for us, like, we believe that. So if we would have known that whenever that happened, we would have had this discussion sooner. And that's why we're saying that our recommendation is to provide them back the funds.
No, and I think the funds back for sure, like, cause I mean, this is something that, like you said, the Ontario, it trumps it, so I mean,
Yeah.
we have to get back the funds. My biggest question is, I'm always curious when we do the peer reviews, cause like, you know, being critical of that. And totally, I wanna make sure we're doing the right things. When we do peer reviews, how often when we do peer reviews that there's stuff that comes back that says that that's massive red flags, or if it's anything else? And my follow-up with that too as well is like, when that engineer, is there a way that we can have a discussion with that engineer that's doing it for whatever that company is to make sure that staff are more involved in it, so they can make sure that their input is given to that? So it helps, once again, it helps with that whole process too, or is that we can't mandate that, we can say, we have to make sure that your engineer is talking to our staff?
They don't work for us though.
They
Okay, so
don't?
a couple things. We've had ones that got very heated back and forth between our peer reviewer
Yes.
and their engineer because there was major issues. We've had where very little limited. Most of it comes down to drainage. So we as staff, our number one thing is how is this gonna impact your neighbor? How is this gonna impact our road? How is this gonna impact? So it's usually around that. Now, we can't mandate their engineer, who they're paying, to talk to us to take what we have to say into consideration. That's where we as the township have to either hire a professional engineer on staff or have some consulting fees for us to pull on them when we need them. I think that we have a pretty good idea of when we need them and when we don't, when we do not feel comfortable with what's being presented. So my recommendation is for council to not take that ability away, and that we come back and we will figure out how we can offset some of the costs, yet still protect the landowners around. Engineers make mistakes too. We see it every day.
Yeah, and I don't wanna take that away whatsoever, because I think it's super important. I think I'm just trying to make sure like that, now, is there an obligation? So we do the peer review. And we pay for it ourselves and we go back. Is now that obligation from that engineer to, say we.
Well, now that's gonna be our comments to approve the or not, and then they can always say, we don't agree with you, we're going to OLT.
And that could go
It's the same
that's a whole
avenues,
road.
but we at least have that professional that has peer reviewed it and what we're standing on at that OLT hearing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love this explanation because I think it's important, because I think that's what the public would have questions about.
Yeah.
And that, this is a way that now we've discussed it, we've exactly said what that is. So I appreciate all of that answer, so.
I think this is a good way of going about it, and I do value staff's questions. Cause you know, we talk about people's properties flooding, some of these questions may have been flagged before. They may have been told, hey, you might need to put a bit more fill, your property is a little lower than it should be, but you know, we weren't there at the time, and things sometimes get missed and somebody doesn't see something. So it's great that staff actually cares and wants to protect the new person as well as the communities as a whole. So,
Keeping in mind, we're not drainage engineers.
no,
That's all.
no, but
Okay.
I think there's value in living here and seeing things, you know, I'm gonna take Tom, cause he drove by a property that's never been really flooded and saw a change and it's flooded, and no, it's not Montague, but you know, just seeing those changes means that you do know your surroundings, and you know, there's value in people that have lived here for 10, 20, 50 years. So longer.
And trips that are driving the road every day.
That's what I mean, because they see it all.
Yes. So moved by Deputy Reed Farrell and second by Councillor Abbas, that council proceeds with option one in relation to the peer reviews of studies prepared by professional engineers. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And now we're on the fire 50th anniversary.
Thank you, council. Kind of an update and for you to formally approve. So at budget time, we did discuss, there was fire's 50th anniversary and that we would potentially pull from the donation line up to $5,000. and or use the Lanark County Tourism Fund if we weren't the spotlight municipality at Harvest Festival. So we got both. So this is to formally approve for us to use up to $5,000. The council approves the donation. So Rapid Response Team has agreed to do the barbecue lunch again, which they did a fabulous job at our grand opening last year. So they're happy to be part of that for this event as well, which is great. I'm asking that council provide me their availability for the event and the intent to make a speech, who all wants to make a speech at the event. And if council wants us to provide any kind of special invitations, or if we're just publicly posting a wide invitation out, which would be our recommendation to make sure nobody gets missed. So far, it is booked for September 19th, 12 to 4. We did check with the fire department to see their really preference, and that was the date they chose. So barbecue lunch, which also has vegetarian options for people. We have inflatables booked for the kids' family. If it's raining, we'll have it set up inside because we can accommodate it inside. Hopefully face painting by the MRCC and or staff, depending on if the MRCC is not available to it. They're going to do special 50th button making or buttons for the kids, fire hall and truck tours. We'll be doing plaque reveals for fire members who are 40 plus years on the department. We do plan on, not for this event, but we're going to do our Storytime Trail. We're going to have the fire 50th. So we're going to have photos, newspaper clippings, all those things that people can go take a tour down the trail and go read all about Montague Fire and how it came to be. We have some 50th anniversary swag ordered, and it's all intended to be free for the public as a celebration of the community and what's going on, if approved by council to be funded from donations.
I don't think we're not approving. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's 8,500 left in the donation line, I believe. Is that, am I?
Yeah, there's about that, yeah.
So 8,500, so we take 5,000. What did we give the last time we did the?
We gave them $1,000 the last time. So I just think they did an exceptional job in the work that they take off all of us for that. They are so professional that I do recommend that we.
No debate there. So I think 1,000 seems fair again.
I think we should up it. I think we will have more at this event, being that it's the fire's 50th. I think it should be upwards of like the 1,500 number. They did an amazing job, like cookies, water, the food. They actually were donating stuffed animals to the kids. They were giving, they did an amazing job. I really have to, and we'll talk about staffing. I think they had 12 staff making sure that everyone got stuff. So I think for like a nominal $1,500, I think if you had it catered, it would probably cost you the 5,000 on its own. So the fact that they're using it as a training initiative, I think if you got away with 1,500, I'm still being low. Trying to save some money for staff to use towards the swag that they would like to donate to the community. It is a big deal. Like 50 years of having a fire department is, and just the staff or the fire department that we have and the amount of stuff they do for the community. I think it's worth giving them an applause and saying thank you and putting our best foot forward to try to cover all these costs.
Okay.
I mean, whatever, 1,500 is good as well. They do a great job for sure. I mean, once again, if we have about 8,500, we're still a couple of grand underneath the donation line. And if we have some more swag that we could, because I mean, I think we love our swag. I mean, we have great swag, and more and more people are wearing it, which I think is great. You look around the room. I mean, like we have the staff that are wearing, which is awesome. You didn't see that years ago. I mean, I think it's really, really cool. So I think if we got more swag to make sure that people have hats and everything else, that would be fascinating.
Sunglasses with blinders, please. Moved by Deputy Carroll, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council approves the use of up to 5,000 from the donation line to fund the fire 50th anniversary, and that council approves the donation of 1,500 to the rapid response team for the barbecue lunch, and that council members provide their availability for the event and their intent to make a speech at the event, and further that council provide staff with any special invitations that they wish to extend out to the event. All in favor? Carried.
I guess we're all saying we're available. And,
Everybody around that,
and the Reeve will do a fantastic speech for us.
we're all around that Saturday.
The one individual is not available unfortunately due to prior commitments.
He's a snake lover.
And are you
I'm
looking
in
for any
Toronto.
special invitations or just a public?
I think a public is
Posting.
fantastic.
Now, the only thing that we may do special invitations is to the families of people who are getting the plaques for
Yeah.
40+ years. But other than that, it was kind of just a public posting for everybody.
Yeah.
If there's anything I can do to help prior to, I would love to help.
If there's anybody we need to reach out to, because I mean, once again, public postings is like, not everybody's on social media, that kind of, I'm sure the fire department also is in great contact with anybody that.
Do you want all previous Reeves to be invited? Do you want all, like, I'm asking council if you want special invitations.
If you do it public, you should be able to.
But I think, but it doesn't hurt to reach out to ones that may not,
But we don't know.
If you do one,
we don't know who it is or not.
So we'd have to do them all.
Yeah, sorry, so, yeah, no, you're right, yeah, sorry, so it's what do you think, like, do we think we have to do, or is
I
it?
think we can get it out word of mouth.
And I think that's fair too as well, okay, yeah.
I'm sure it's a good.
Thank you.
And wonder after you participate and come to everything, so like.
My daughter, I'm
We
involved
all
with my
miss
daughter,
things,
she's
we
there.
all miss things, so it's not, there's no, it's one of those things.
No, I just, I really,
We know we want.
I wanted to be there, the date got picked, it just happens to coincide with the date I'm unavailable, so, but,
You know, if you're feeling bad, you can go over and wash the trucks all before the big event.
I can polish them, give me the polish.
I'm sure Ed will give you the bucket.
The next, we're on to our municipal report for a direct stream application.
Thank you, council. It's just an information item to let council know, because it's a very short, application window. For the Build Community Strong Fund, BCSF, direct delivery. So there will be another stream coming up as well, but this was to put in an expression of interest, for a grant application up to 50% for recreational facilities. So council has previously approved, that if funding was available, that we apply for a covered outdoor space over at the Montague 22 acres and a ball field. So I did put an application in for that. It'll be a highly competitive application. I'm not holding my breath on it, but I just wanted council to know that we are working in the background on these types of things, and whenever they pop up and have very short timeframes, that's the importance of having kind of those drawings or which we had prepared just in principle for that building, is because that's what they're looking for, is shelf-ready stuff. They're trying to focus on the municipalities that have taken that step already. So we did make an application. I put an application in for a 2.9 million. That is the high end. That is a building that is a steel structure, the best of the best, whereas we would scale it down to be honest, probably more of a wood or a timber frame structure. But I went ahead and accounted for the top end. The max we can get is 50% of the 1 million. And we have been putting funds aside to continue to grow the recreation. This would be for what we have heard from the public, and what we continue to hear is that accessible space that is free or very minimal cost. So summer would have like basketball nets, floor hockey, badminton, the farmers markets, that kind of stuff. Winter would be ice, because it included 2 change rooms, heated bathrooms, those type of things, that we could actually have like an outdoor rec league and those kind of things, and skating, free skating, all of that good stuff. And then a ball field. Whenever I say ball field, not an actual like MLB baseball field. We're at the recreational law ball type of ball field. That the school could come over because they have the access and they are enjoying the use of the 22-acre space and it's great. So, we are, and if that other stream opens up, with council's approval, we'll also put it in for that, hoping to get one. Okay.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think this is great. Once again, that 22 acres, it's wonderful to see that more and more come to fruition. And like, once again, like staff are always looking to continue to add on to it, which is great because, you know, we started it. It's not done yet and the kids are loving it and the school and I mean, they don't have a ball field over there. They have no way to get into a ball field. So this is like those are the offers, like the same idea they're able to skate and all that kind of idea. Like these are great initiatives, and it's great that we're doing more and more of this. So kudos to council for the being on board for everything. It's amazing.
Moved by Councillor Abbas and second by Councillor Crabtree that council accept the building community strong application for an expression of interest as information is provided this date. All in favor? And that carried. Next is our senior program update.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So you heard about all the great trips and crafts that Grace has been doing with the group. So in the background, I get the not so fun part of it. So we were approved for 52,876 this year. There was also an application for a special grant, so to purchase some sturdier chairs to do chair yoga at Rosedale Hall. So we got over $2,000 for that. So we're going to be buying some sturdier chairs for that to continue on. With that, we do have a lot coming up for the fall. We're busy. So we're gonna have weekly chair yoga, weekly yoga lotties, monthly craft nights. We got Cirque du Soleil trip, overnight trip to Peterborough, Red Blacks game, Christmas musical. The monthly, we're hoping to start a monthly breakfast club at a local restaurant to support our local restaurant and have a $5 breakfast is what we would charge, and you get hot meal. We're hoping to do hot lunches and socials at Rosedale Hall once a month. We're going to start a walking club once it cools down and stops raining at the 22-acre park. Pickleball club at the 22-acre park, and we're hoping to start up social and games. So cornhole, or floor curling, board games, etc. So having just more going on. So at the time of this, we had 155 members. I guess we have 158 now. Grace has been pushing the memberships for that. So with that, we had budgeted for a Christmas function. The Forget Me Not Club is hoping, I think they're going to do their Christmas dinner. As council will recall, we did turn down the donation request with notice to the club that for Positive Change to come forward. So we have funds set aside for a Christmas dinner function. My understanding is Forget Me Not Club is going to cook their dinner themselves this year and increase the price. And so I didn't know if council wanted us to have a discussion to see where they're at, to see if we can collaboratively work together to offer maybe a lower cost Christmas dinner, catered, not cooked by the Forget Me Not Club, so that they can actually enjoy the Christmas function. So I'm just looking for direction on that, because if we want to cater, we'll need to book one soon. But we don't want to host a Christmas dinner for $10 and override what they're trying to host.
I think it would be good if Ally and I go back and have a follow-up meeting with the Forget Me Not Club, because we were there last September. Yeah. So I think it would be good for a follow-up meeting.
Yeah, I think it'd be beneficial. I think, you know, time does change and we did work very collaboratively at one point with them, so I can't see why that couldn't happen again.
We want it to work. We want things,
Yeah.
we want things to work. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. We want this community to have as many options and everybody to work together and make that room really, really good. So I think it's important that our door is open and we want to have those conversations. We want to make sure that we have a great Christmas dinner for all of our seniors, everybody in our community. I think it's really important. So I think that'd be a great idea. Continue to keep that door open, have those conversations and see, hopefully we can
That's
lots of
our,
positivity at the end, and I know exactly that's the.
our recommendation is to do that, to sit down and have that conversation and see if we can do some kind of collaboration, for the Christmas time.
Be good.
Been moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll that council accepts the senior programming report as information and that council directs the Reeve and a member of staff to meet with Montague and District Seniors Forget Me Not Club about Christmas. All in favor? Carried. Our financial, 2025 financial statements.
Thank you, Chair. So you had this presentation this evening. I think Anoop speaks faster than I do. With that, you did see that we have a 2025 surplus of just over $300,000, all things considered, throughout the year, which is great. We'll be bringing back a report on direction to allocate the surplus based on departments that were under budget, not the fire department, and put that to reserves for in the 2026 year.
Yep, great.
Well done to Ali and management and staff for operations last year as usual. Thank you. Mr. Johnson's doing his job better. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, second by Councillor Bath, that council accept and approve the 2025 financial statements presented at the council meeting of August 4th, 2026 by KPMG. One in favor? Carried. Now we have no report, petitions, motions, notice of motions, any unfinished business, other business. Any questions of our audience?
One comment on the senior activities, things the township has put on. I'd like to thank Ally and Grace for the trips and stuff. Also, I'd like to thank Councillor Abbas for the treats he gives us when we're on the bus trips. He always supplies treats to everybody. Thank you.
Any online?
What kind of treats?
Yeah. Any online questions?
No question.
All further questions? Been moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that committee of full meeting for August 4th, 2026 now be adjourned at 8:52 p.m. All in favor?